Here it comes. Here it comes. It's the Great White Death. It's the Great White Death. How are we looking? I'm looking outside. I got a snow globe going on right now. A few flurries, a little bit of a breeze. It's not too bad. It was in the upper 20s when I got up today. And just kind of waiting for it to hit. They're telling you, hey, make sure you check on the people in the neighborhood, but don't go outside. I'm like, okay. So, start checking all your neighbors, making sure everybody's good. The hatches are battened down, all that kind of stuff. There you have it. Ben, now this is how out of touch I am, because the Packers play on Christmas Day and we're here. And I know you're not, because you're going back to Philadelphia, but the Packers play on Christmas Day and we're here and we're working, and it's the Green and Gold postgame show. And then the day after, when we have that Green and Gold Monday, we're supposedly off next Monday?
Correct. That is the word I've received.
I didn't know that. See, this is it's so weird, because, even Kristen was asking me, are you off? Like, no, we're not off. I don't take off. It's a holiday. I get it. It's Christmas, but Christmas falls on game day. Game day, you don't take off. The next day, you're always here. And the day before, you're always here. And, it just, I didn't know. This is like a luxury to me. I didn't realize this. I kind of figured by Monday people would need us. Be like, you know what? The kids unwrapped the presents. They're driving me crazy with the stuff making noise. The relatives are here. My Aunt Martha criticized my turkey, and then I hit her in the mouth with a leg of lamb because she liked that instead. The prime rib was dried out and burned up, and the mashed potatoes were lumpy. I'm ready to beat the hell out of everybody. We need a little bit of Bill Michaels and Ben Kenny, and we're not here. I can't believe that. There you go. So I might still venture into the office, and maybe I'll just turn the live stream on. Who knows? But it can happen. It can happen at any point in time. Just to kind of, maybe I'll do it from the bar. Maybe I'll go downstairs, because God knows that we're all going to be snowed. Come June, you and I should be able to dig our way out. I'm feeling good about that. If you didn't notice, they've already canceled opening day. It's done. So just be careful. I did this yesterday, but how do you go from, 30 inches at one point? So I finally did see the forecast over the last 5 days. I went back and I did see the forecast. You go from the possibility of one of the models, so to speak, of saying 30 inches of snow down to 3 to 5. And now they're down to 3 to possibly 8, but most likely about 2 to 3 inches in blowing snow. Just thought I'd throw it out there. How you doing today, Ben? You good today?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah?
I'm at work. I can confirm there are not many others at work today.
Yeah?
When I was driving in, it was totally fine. I left very early I found a lull in the snow.
Right.
But since I've been here, the snow has picked up. I'm hoping I make it home. But we shall see.
Now,
it's a roll of the dice.
I was just going to ask you, because you're about 50 miles further west than I am, obviously, and I'm just now looking out of the studio window here. I'm just now looking out of the studio, and it's become the snow globe. And every now and then you get a little gust of wind, but for the most part, the trees, everything is pretty still, nothing crazy. It's not too bad. So, but you're telling me it's a little bit worse out in the area that you are. But you're actually in an area where you don't even get a chance to see the window outside, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I can confirm it is snowing, though.
Okay. But we're not. Are we or are we not doing the snow updates today?
Funny you ask.
That's your call.
I noticed some this morning. I saw 1.3 inches here in Madison, measured with a ruler, and I would open up my Twitter DMs for it. Maybe not the phone lines,
Okay.
but if people want to DM me or tweet at me snow measurements from this state, from neighboring states, from Florida, wherever you are, has to be measured with a ruler. I am accepting those submissions.
Okay. Well, there you have it. So that is the way we will start today. If you are living in an area that is getting pelted and pound it at this point, then please let Ben Kenny know. Ben's all over it. There you go. That's it. So other than that, pretty good day today so far. I woke up this morning and I had a terrible night's sleep. Has anybody out there ever had kidney stones? Ben, you ever had kidney stones? You're a young guy.
No.
You should probably never should have.
I've not.
Although it was a while ago that I had them. It was maybe 12 years ago I had them, and I hate to use the terminology of "dropped me like a stone," but it did. I woke up one morning. I wasn't feeling good, and but like where you get pains like in your lower back, and it makes you feel as if you have to go to the bathroom, and you can't figure out why, and the pain gets worse and worse and worse, progressively worse. And I've told the story before, so I don't want to bore people, but I ended up, I mean, I was really in a ton of pain, and I decided to drive myself over to the emergency room. And the last thing I remember was getting out of the car. After that, I didn't remember. Apparently, the pain got so severe, it like knocked me out. So I was laying in the parking lot of the emergency room at the hospital nearby. And I woke up, I was in a room. They had, started talking to me, and then they confirmed that I had kidney stones. They gave me morphine. And that was it. I didn't feel anything after that. And then a few days later, they sent me home eventually. A few days later, I had passed the stone, which was really, they always talk about it being incredibly painful. It was actually painless because it just happened and it was done. So last night I came home, and I'm a big, 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 big water drinker. I mean, I drink usually about 60 something ounces of water a day. And last night I got home and I didn't feel good. And so I went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I woke up and I had the pain, and I'm like, oh my God, and first you think you have to go to the bathroom. So you get up, no. So I went back to lay down, and about 3:30 this morning, and then again about 5:30 this morning, I kept waking up, and it dawned on me. It's like, oh my God, I hope to God you don't have like a kidney stone. So I've been pounding water and Gatorade and such today, hoping that that's not it. It's just a little dehydrated. Because I started thinking to myself, I didn't drink any water yesterday. I didn't drink any water the day before. I had 2 beers. I had a Red Bull, caffeinated stuff that you're really not supposed to have when you are prone to kidney stones. And I'm thinking, so if I drop during the program today, Ben, it's all you, and you know why. Just saying. So
okay.
I'm a little, I took a muscle relaxer, which has made me relaxed.
Ooh,
Yeah, I took a
now
muscle
we're talking.
relaxer. Yeah, I don't know if it's my back or if it's like the kidney stones or something, but something isn't right now. And sitting in the chair is rather uncomfortable. I wish I could be doing this like, laying in bed. But so something isn't right, but we'll figure it out. So as the day goes on, I'm hoping that it's just I got like some muscles back. I started working out, and I did a bunch of core strength like 2 days ago. And I'm kind of thinking maybe that's it. I'm hoping that's it. Knock on wood that's all it is. But we'll see as the day goes on. So that we got that going. So we've got snowstorm coming, the possibility of maybe like kidney stones or lower back pain or something in that area. I turned the heat up because I was kind of cold today, so I'm sweating a little bit now. So we got all that happening. We got a lot of stuff going on right now during the show, and we haven't even gotten into the show yet. That's the most amazing part about it. So there you go. I hope you never get kidney stones, Ben. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Just an FYI.
Okay.
They said that
is there anything I should do to avoid kidney stones?
They always say water, hydration, kidney stones. Now, if your body is prone to it, there's not much you can do. It's just going to happen. There's a calcium. You can take things for it, I guess, but I don't know. But the way it was explained to me when I got them years ago was when you become dehydrated and you're consistently dehydrated, there will be a calcification that begins to build up in your whatever. But the kidney stones, the passing of the kidney stone is not necessarily the stone coming out. It's the stone going from the kidney to the bladder or the bladder to the kidney. I can't remember which, but I think it's the kidney to the bladder. And as the calcification passes through, there's billions of fibrous tissue in your kidneys that filter out all the impurities of liquid within your body, billions of them. And as that stone, that sharp-edged stone, that calcification passes through, kind of like that car wash of fibrous material, that's what causes the pain. It's literally raking all of that fibrous material as it passes through and goes to the bladder. And that's what causes all that back pain and that severe pain that just drops you to your knees. That's what that does. And then as it hits the bladder, then you.
Bill, I'm receiving correspondence from up north.
Uh-oh.
Our buddy Jake has chimed in with a ruler in the snow.
Oh, geez.
More than 4 inches in Marinette.
Now, please tell me he's outside in the snow.
The rule snow.
There you go. So we've got our first official weather report. I feel
sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. I was just trying to, I explained to you kind of what it is. So the best thing they told me was drink plenty of water. And it continues to clean you out and make you feel good. Water's great for you anyway. So between water and either Powerade or Gatorade, I drink a bunch of it, and I've always done it. But over the last 3 days, I really haven't. And last night, even when I sit down and I drink water at the table when I'm on the air, I drank Sprite last night, which is okay, but it's not great for you because of the sugars. So anyway, that was my explanation. I'll stick to it. Good stuff. This one's from Kirk. Kirk says, oh my God, I had kidney stones twice. He said, they say it's the male equivalent of giving birth. See, I don't want to degrade a woman by saying that. But I will say this, when I had kidney stones, I had women come out of the woodwork that said they would much rather give birth than have kidney stones again. They said the kidney stones were worse. I guess it just depends on the size of the stone, actually. But yeah, it's not a pleasant experience by any stretch of the imagination. 877-867-1670. This is from our buddy Ben. Ben says, hey, Bill, a little bit of snow on the ground here. He's at the dog park, barking up Hickory. I love that place. That's where I used to send Mickey and Elmo all the time. A little bit of snow on the ground. This one's from Ann. Ann says, not much snow here. I had kidney stones once, would never want them again. I've had 6 children. Wow, Ann. Whew, good for you. She said 6 children, 3 by C-section. She said kidney stones were far worse. Okay, we've got all our official stuff now. Now we can officially move on. How are we looking? So anyway, coming up today, we're going to have Rob Reichel on the program. Can Santa Claus deliver a win to us as Packers fans on Sunday? I sat this morning, Ben. I got up late, but I just kind of laid in bed, and I was flipping back and forth between ESPN and the NFL Network. Didn't get a chance to listen to any of the apps this morning, but I'm flipping back and forth, and there is this belief, and you and I were talking. We brought it up. I feel good about this. When we talk about something first, and whether now they do this thing where years and years and years ago, like on one mountain, there was Tibetan monks, and they were thinking about one form of philosophy, and over in the Mayan ruins, they were thinking about the exact same thing of philosophy. Okay, that's great. I wonder if what you and I talk about is being filtered down to the massive networks and they're robbing us, or if they had the exact same idea we did at the exact same time. Because
Aaron likes his balls very inflated.
Correct. But that was not my point. The fact is, I was watching this morning, and they were talking about whether or not the Packers could get a win in Miami. And Rodgers had brought up that if we can score 30 points a game, we should be able to win a lot of these games no matter what our defense does. Okay, and he's right. So this morning, I look, and there it is. I think it was the NFL Network. There it is. Over the last 5 games, the Green Bay Packers have averaged 26.6 points per game, one of the best in the National Football League. Oh, who said that yesterday, Ben? Tell us. Tell the listening audience, who said that yesterday?
I think you did.
Thank you very much. Hallelujah. Yeah, it must be like we're all having the same thought. Like the offense is picked up. We know that. Rodgers brings it up and says, hey, if we can average about 30 points and get to that point level per game, we should win these games. And it's possible. And they started going back and comparing it to what Tua can put up on a regular basis and the way he's played as of late. And they're not averaging that. And they started talking about, well, the Green Bay Packers have a legitimate shot. The defense needs to play a little bit better, and they need to do this. And they looked a little different in the game the other day. On Monday night, they had a few more blitzes, and they were able to do this. And I'm like, whoa, is this not all the stuff that you and I were discussing, boy, I tell you what, if people just listen to this program, the depth of knowledge that is spewed about, along with some kidney stone stuff and every now and then measurements of snow, is just fascinating. Fascinating to listen to. I felt good. Felt good. Pac fan says the 30 points a game was talked about on Monday night. That's what I said. Rodgers said it. We talked about 26.6 points a game yesterday. There you go. Always got to knock us, Pac fan. That's the reason I have so much temptation to just block you and send you on your way. Go listen to somebody else. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Marv says, hey, guys, what is the holiday schedule? Are you on Friday, Monday? What's going on? No post-game show? No. Here, I'm here to calm you, okay? Friday, tomorrow, we're here. Ben, are you here tomorrow? You flying out on Saturday?
Oh, I'll be here. Yep.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I mean, weather permitting.
Yeah, weather permitting. Who knows? Who knows? And then we're going to be here for the postgame show, the Green and Gold postgame show. Yes. Probably over the air. We are not going to be here on Monday. Monday, maybe I do something on the live stream for a short period of time. Who knows? We'll see. And then we're all back together again on Tuesday, and we'll all talk about what we got for the holidays, or what we gave for the holidays, maybe more so than anything. Nice way to put it. There you go. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do so. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We had a great time last night at DJ's Goalpost. Man, I can't believe the amount of people that came out. They were like giddy, which is weird, but they were giddy. All of these teachers that found out in the Menominee Falls School District that they didn't have to work today, they were canceling school because of the impending Great White Death. They were giddy to come out, hang out at the show last night. 2 women were dressed as Santa Clauses, and they wanted to talk Aaron Rodgers. They wanted to talk. I mean, I sat there and BS with them a little while afterwards, and the whole group was just awesome. So it was a lot of fun last night. Thanks to everybody at DJ's Goalpost out in Menominee Falls on Lisbon Road, or on Appleton Road. We had a great time. Certainly appreciate it, and thanks to our friends at Bud Light for providing the platform for us to do so. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Come back. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. Ready?
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. And I know it's not the time of year to be looking for boats, but our friends at Skipper Buds, they got a ton of deals going on right now. I was just watching some of their stuff over on Facebook. And they have numerous boats, ski boats, really nice ones, Mastercrafts, Taiga. We've got a lot of pontoons in stock, too. And one of the things they're doing right now, which would make a great holiday gift, is putting a great big red ribbon on one of those things and telling the family, here's our summer. But stop out and get a hold of our friend Todd over there. He's the general manager of Skipper Buds in Pewaukee specifically. But go to Skipper Buds and then just put in the parentheses Pewaukee over on Facebook. And you can find them there. You can see everything that I've seen, or just go to skipperbuds.com. But get a hold of Todd, 262-544-1200. Yachts, pontoons, sport and deck boats, fishing boats, they have it all. That is Skipper Buds, 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. This one is from Art. And Art says, I believe the Packers can get a win. They would have to play almost a perfect game. But if they do this and pull this off, is that when you would become a believer that this is actually imaginable rather than something that is a far thought away? With each game, it becomes more of a reality that if they win, then they're only then 2 steps away from finding themselves in the postseason. And then if they beat Minnesota, they're 1 step away. And I guess the daunting task is to put everything behind you and say that, we believe in the now and not the then. You know what I mean? You can't, and I've said this before, and it rings so true. You can't unsee New York, the Giants over in London. You can't unsee the Jets and their defensive front just whipping the ass of the offensive line. You can't unsee that game against the Commanders. You can't unsee that pathetic game and the turnovers against the Lions. Now, if you want to go to the bright side of things, you can say they should have won the Lions game. The different red zone turnovers killed them. It was so unlikely, so unlikely, and so unlike them and Aaron Rodgers more so than anything. That Commanders game, they should have won that game. They should have won that game. They just, their defense came up bad in bad moments, and offensively, they looked inept. They should have won that Giants game. Same thing, They just had, you start turning the ball over, and things just didn't, they haven't looked right. You can't unsee that and just go, okay, none of that matters, because it does. That Cowboys game, they played extremely well. They played like, like we all kind of went, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Is this the team that we've been witnessing over the last 5 games? And you thought, okay, man, the Pack is back. Here comes Tennessee. Let's see if they can, stop Derrick Henry. Let's see if they can, put points up on the board. If maybe the offense is starting to work a little bit, and then they went back to scoring 17 points, And really think about that game. If that game was, say, another touchdown or 2, first of all, they'd be averaging over 30 points a game. That's the game because they scored 31 against the Cowboys, 33 against the Eagles, 28 against the Bears, and 24 against the Rams. That's the only game in which they didn't get above 20 points over the last 5. Tennessee, very fundamental team. But again, the Packers got beat in the trenches. You can't unsee that. They had a good game, not a great game, but a good game against the Eagles, but the defense was horrific. You know, we all left that game wondering what the hell, you know? I mean, it was great to see 2 drives by, 2 series by Jordan Love, and we came out of that game excited for him, but we kind of figured it would be a loss, and it was, but they were hard fought. Their season. We were going to mathematically eliminate them at that point, and the defense was awful. Joe Barry not only needed to go, but Joe Barry needs to go, and somebody should have helped him pack a while ago. And then they only give up 19 against the Bears, but it's the Bears, right? And they only give up 12 against the Rams, but it's the Rams. But they scored 28 and they scored 24. And the offense, while not perfect, has looked better. I mean, the headline today, if you go over to the 4-Letter Network on the show Get Up this morning, I think was the headline was is the pack back or something like that, because of the offense starting to kind of put it together. And now you have a legitimate over-the-top threat. You got a good receiver in Romeo Doubs, 2 possession receivers in Lazard and Cobb. You still haven't really utilized Robert Tonyan very much. Your offensive line seems to be playing more solidified, and knock on wood, and nobody goes down. I mean, there's a lot of things there that you can kind of look at and go, okay, maybe they are back. But this is your test. This is your test. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, give us a shout. 877-867-1670. We sat here yesterday and we looked at all the optimism. We went over everything optimistically, about the games they lost that they could have won. We looked at things that they did poorly or the turnovers they had that they shouldn't have had. I think the couple of things you could probably look at going into this game against Miami, if you just play a fundamentally sound game, you do not turn the ball over. Rodgers, instead of trying to do more, maybe he keep the chains moving. If you're hanging onto the ball, you're scoring points. That doesn't allow their offense to do it. So give it a shot. And defensively speaking, I don't know how they're going to stop the passing game, the downfield passing game specifically. But to me, go back to fundamentals. You didn't give up a lot of broken tackles in the game against the Rams. You looked good. You've now played pretty solid defense for 5 quarters. So it doesn't lead me to believe that I have all of a sudden got an overwhelming amount of confidence in the Green Bay Packers defensively. If they do and they're walking around cocky, then they're idiots. Because there's no way. They played 1 good quarter against the Bears. That was the 4th quarter. And they played a good tackling 4 quarters against the Rams. Other than that, nah. And when they really needed to shut the Rams down, they couldn't. Because all you needed was that last drive just to put the emphatic stamp on them. Get after Baker Mayfield, put the pressure on the quarterback, and instead they went no huddle, went right down the field and scored on you 6 plays and a touchdown. And that's disconcerting. So I think there's a lot of optimism to be had, but I'm not getting out over my skis. I didn't pick them to win. We did our picks last night. We'll have our picks today against the spread, but I can't pick the Packers to win. I'd be crazy to. If they win this game and they look good and have style points doing it, then I'll believe that the Packers are back, and then I believe that they've got a legitimate shot to win out. But if they don't win this game, obviously the season's pretty much done. And if they play poorly and everything we've seen them do throughout this season comes back, all the bad habits, arm tackling, not covering, playing 10 yards off the ball on a 3rd and 6, Joe Barry with his head, cranius rectus invertus, turnovers by Rodgers, fumbles by the backs, fumbles by the ball carrier, then it's all for naught. Doesn't matter. You battled back to give us hope, and you kept hope through Christmas, and thank you for the season. We'll talk to you next year. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Agree or disagree? Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Oh, ho, ho! I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it 2 years later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later. Ho, ho.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Sure, license for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Big New Year's Eve party going on out at Smoke on the Water. So they've got entertainment. If you're going to spend some time in Lake Country next week, that's the place to go right there. Smoke on the Water. They got a nice New Year's Eve package put together. They've got dinner. They've got hors d'oeuvres. They've got drinks. They've got music. Like a lot of places do, but they have that great big downstairs party hall that they've now opened, and it's beautiful. So if you're looking for a cool place to go and ringing the new year, that is our friends at Smoke on the Water on Okachi Lake. And don't forget about Sloppy Joe's as well the next morning afterwards, because on New Year's Day, they're going to have that breakfast that is so good. But either place to go is absolutely fantastic. That's our friends out there on Okachi Lake, Smoke on the Water, and then Sloppy Joe's on Hubertus in Hubertus. So I'm sitting here during the break, and I'm watching. They have the replay of Get Up, and I flipped it on, and which everybody picks the Packers to lose, 0% chance to win. However, there is this. Aaron Rodgers seems to rise to certain occasions and play extremely well against teams that should be beating them, much like they did against Kansas City last year. And then they got into the discussion. Next year, Ben, my assumption is Rodgers is coming back. So next year, who is the best team in the division, do you think, next year?
That is a terrific question. I think recency bias would tell you Detroit.
There you
just
go.
Because they're hot and they have money and they're flexible and they're young. However, if Rodgers is back, and I would hope some changes are made on defense and maybe some improvement, I would say the Packers just by default, because that's what the last 30 years have taught us. But I can hear the argument for Detroit.
Yeah, the Detroit has money and draft picks, and they've got quite a few.
Oh, they have the Rams pick, which is going to be top 5.
Yeah, so they have got all of that when it comes to who's picking what. Now, you assume it's going to be Houston, the Bears, the Seahawks, which they got that one from the Denver Broncos, most likely going to be 3rd right now. The Lions have the 4th overall pick in the draft, so they're going to have another high-end quality talent. They've got also an 18th pick overall in the draft, 2 first-rounders as of right now. So they have got the ability to get good and get good in a hurry. And if that's where they're going to be picking, and then you start to look at them going beyond that first round, man, it's they're going to have quite a few picks and 2 first-rounders again coming into this team and money to spend. And the consensus seems to be that Detroit, with what they've done and what we've seen, that Detroit will be the team that actually takes over the North. Even as good as Justin Fields is, and the Bears have picks too, there is more flexibility and such as to what they have over, and they believe that Dan Campbell's a better coach than what he's been credited for, that there's more flexibility and more capability over in Detroit because everybody believes that maybe with Kirk Cousins and company, unless they continue to bolster that defense, like they've kind of hit their ceiling. This is what it is. And they can score, no doubt. They can score, but they got to get that defense better. And they believe still that the job that they have to do down in Chicago is probably another 2 years, another year or two before. So that being said, everybody seems to, well, at least the consensus was of the panel, that Detroit is going to be the team to beat in the division next year. And because the Packers are going to be so cap-strapped because of Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari and the two salaries, if indeed they keep Bakhtiari, that that is for the Packers to go many other than the draft to this team. So, and again, that's only if we begin to think about it, if the Packers end up getting beat this coming Sunday. 877-867-1670. Yeah, the phone lines are wide open. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, do it. Let's see here. Rick says, by the way, good luck with Hill and Waddle. Tyreek Hill, yeah, I mean, and that was the other thing. When you look at the the game this weekend, the matchup is not necessarily Aaron Rodgers in the offense against the defense of the Miami Dolphins. You're paying Jair Alexander to be the guy, and this weekend he's got to be the guy. Is he going to shut down Tyreek Hill? Because you can't shut down both. He can't do it by himself with both. So does Tyreek Hill get shut down, and then does Waddle and company become the targets, and are they able to move the sticks enough to be able to create points and not turn the ball over? So that's the other consideration here. But yeah, when you say good luck with Hill and Waddle, yeah, I agree with you. Phil says the Bears and Lions have the draft picks and a ton of cap room to get better. Vikings and Packers are going to be limited. The Bears, though, everybody believes the Bears are much farther behind the Lions. That's the reason they picked the Lions to be the better team in the division. I agree with you, but as far as who is going to be the better team in the division next year out of the four, a lot of people pointing towards the Lions. With the way they're finishing this season, unless, of course, they go on a 3-game losing streak, the way they're finishing this season, and then obviously the fact that they do have draft choices, they do have flexibility, they do have cap space, all of that. I agree with. Completely agree. 877-867-1670. Mark hits us over an email, and Mark says that when it comes to this team, I believe it starts with Matt LaFleur, not with Joe Barry. Matt LaFleur has set the tone, and Joe Barry has been allowed to do inept things all season long, and just now he's starting to figure it out. Does that speak more of Joe Barry, or does it speak more of the head coach? I don't have faith in either. That's, remember, I think Joe Barry, was it last year? It was the first couple of games, and Matt LaFleur, was it last year or 2 years ago that Joe Barry gets the job, and Matt LaFleur goes to him in the Detroit game and says, I want you to be more aggressive. This isn't getting it done. And then this year, it's kind of hands off, and we saw a lot of things that we just didn't like, and it didn't change. And then when the questioning of Joe Barry and the scheme began, and then they ended up losing the game 3 weeks ago, and Matt LaFleur really he's upset. He says, I really have to answer these questions after one game. And that to me spoke volumes, because it's like not after one game. It's after a season worth of all of this that we've seen, that it was basically exploited horribly by the Eagles. The inability to spy the quarterback, the inability to cover, death by 1,000 cuts, consistently, drive after drive after drive, where they were just putting the ball in the end zone, getting points. You weren't able to stop them. You're playing guys off of the receivers, deep off of the receiver. It just, and then he questioned those who questioned him. I agree with you. I would have a little bit of I do have a little bit of concern regarding Matt LaFleur. Absolutely. Jim and Sheboygan says, are you worried that if the defense plays halfway decent for the rest of the season, they're going to stick with Joe Barry for next year, though? It's a little concerning, but I don't think you can. I think that, and I know Brian Gutekunst said that it's Matt LaFleur's call, but I don't think you can. You've heard too many little quips here and there for guys questioning the system, questioning the way they're being used, questioning the play, the rank. It's not like they're going to all of a sudden dramatically rise in the ranking. Sure, points per game have gone up. I agree with that. But we've seen too much of it to say, oh yeah, he's earned himself another shot at the job, right? And I know Gutekunst said it's Matt LaFleur's decision, but I gotta think, after watching the body language of those guys sitting in front of me in Chicago, and the Bears basically up and down the field with Justin Fields for 3 quarters, and the defense a step slow, looking like they just didn't care. And I'm not going to say they didn't. I'm just saying the appearance. How do you not? How would you hang on to Joe Barry? I think the pep and the step comes from the reality that the offense got it going, and suddenly there is a reality that, yeah, we can get this done. And I know Mike Clemens put it out. Was it last week or earlier this week? One of the guys saying, well, we knew we had to do something because we couldn't rely on the offense anymore. I mean, that's a loud statement, to both sides of the ball. So I don't know if it's just the defensive guys stepping up on their own and freelancing or what, but it has been dysfunctional all season long. It just has. Real quick, our guy Steve says, first of all, tough week for the NFL alumni. Thoughts and prayers to the family of Franco Harris and Ronnie Tillman. Particularly tough as this weekend is the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. I'm old enough to remember that particular play from my youth. I do too. And they were also not only going to remember that this weekend, but they were going to honor Franco Harris this weekend. Now, it's a moment of silence. Instead, it's a more sad occasion. And as far as the Packers are concerned, he says, I think there's a scenario where Joe Barry comes back as a DC next year. I hope not. In my opinion, it shouldn't matter. If they have 3 good games in a row, he has left his mark of futility throughout the entire year, and change is indeed needed. Unfortunately, I think the tandem of Waddle and Tyreek Hill are going to dominate them on Sunday. Dolphins light up the Packers D and virtually eliminate the Packers 38-31. I would also like to wish you and all the listeners a very Merry Christmas. That's our buddy Steve in Richfield. Steve, good stuff, good sentiments. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break and come back. Got a lot more to get to. I want to get your thoughts on all of this. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers have a late afternoon practice as they head this weekend to Miami to face the Dolphins. The team got some good news that running back A.J. Dillon did not suffer a concussion on Monday night against the Rams, so he's cleared to play this weekend. Packers rookie receiver Christian Watson talked about what it was like being covered by the Rams' trash-talking defensive back Jalen Ramsey.
I think it was a good battle. Any opportunity for me to go up against a corner of his caliber and obviously just work on my technique, against his, that's exactly what I'm playing at this level for, to compete and, to challenge guys. And obviously, he's a guy. So, it was a great battle.
Keyshawn Nixon had another good week as the kick returner and apparently has been lobbying to get some snaps in as the slot receiver on offense. Head coach Matt LaFleur.
No, I know. He's been talking to you, though, because he's been talking to me every day about that. So he saw that screen pass that New England ran a couple of weeks ago where they threw it to their punt returner and he took it to the house. And so ever since then, I can go in there.
And Jair Alexander was asked after beating the Rams and facing the Dolphins next, what's his goal for this week?
One game at a time, one game at a time. 3 left, but one game at a time. That's the goal.
That's Packers defensive back Jair Alexander. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Four 455-4451. Don says, I wish Matt LaFleur would have flown the team down to Miami yesterday to acclimate and hydrate. I have a feeling the defense is going to be dragging ass in third and fourth quarters. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go. The hydration thing, yeah. That I understand. But it's not going to be hot. Remember, it's only going to be upper 50s, lower 60s, and the possibility of some rain. It's cooler down there. This is more fall in Wisconsin football weather than anything. So I'm not concerned about. It's not like we're going to 85. It's not like they're going to be sitting in the sun roasting with a team. Feels like temperature of 95 to 100. This is 60. Ben, you were you had at the old pocket Doppler yesterday. You were talking what, 59 or 58 degrees or something like that?
Yeah, comfortable.
Yeah. It's not going to be really, really hot down there. So I'm not worried about the hydration. I mean, a little bit you do, but you can do that in any game. We saw him. What was it? The other day in the game between the Vikings and the Colts, we saw guys cramping up. So that can happen, but no, and they're probably thinking about it, but I'm not concerned about this game being stiflingly hot. The last I saw was like 58 to 60 degrees, the possibility of some rain. So I'm not concerned about that. Hey, don't forget as well, coming up in just a little bit, right after the top of the hour, Rob Reichel is going to be joining us. And then about an hour and 5 minutes from now, it's the charge. As many of you are looking for help when it comes to your fantasy football league, as you're coming down the stretch now, as the season winds down, you're probably in the postseason of your fantasy football team. So we need fantasy. We need fantasy questions. Go ahead and if you're trying to make decisions, get the charge segments, about an hour and 5 minutes, but start getting your fantasy football questions in right now, as we'll get them all to Paul Charchian for sure. The other side of this is Brian states, hey, let's remember that Tua is on a 3-game losing streak, and he's trying to pull his team out of it. He has a lot of pressure on him. Rodgers can handle the pressure. Can Tua handle the pressure? We put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks to win, yes, but I thought Tua played a pretty good game up in Buffalo, where they were predicted to lose. They were predicted to lose ugly. It wasn't their weather. He was 0 when the temperature's less than 50 degrees. He was two touchdowns and 4 interceptions in weather under 50 degrees. And I thought he played a pretty good game in Buffalo. So I'm not overly concerned about whether or not Tua is going to be feeling that. I'm sure he will feel some pressure to snap the losing streak, but I'm not overly concerned about that. Coming up, Rob Reichel is going to be joining us. We're going to talk with Rob about his thoughts. Also, by the way, real quick, the betting numbers. The Green Bay Packers. Will the Packers make the playoffs? Yes is 7-1. No is 1-14. And the odds indicate there's a 93.4% chance of the Packers not making the postseason. Coming out of betonline.ag, which is pretty much everybody's sentiment, I think, at this point. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, with a mix of players recruited by the previous staff, kids committed to him at Cincinnati, and a couple new additions, Coach Luke Fickell announced his first recruiting class for Wisconsin yesterday. The class consists of 14 players. It is ranked 56th in the country, 12th in the Big Ten. And the class is highlighted by 4-star cornerback Amari Snowden, as well as 4-star wide receiver out of Hawaii, Tretch Kekahuna. Up next for the Badgers, though, they'll take on Oklahoma State December 27th for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. The Green Bay Packers have 3 games remaining and have to win out for just a chance to get into the playoffs. But Aaron Rodgers says losing has helped this team search harder for answers as they build momentum towards the end of the season.
There was opportunities this year for us in the humility of losing multiple games where we got to finally clean some things up that needed to be cleaned up. And yeah, we've obviously played a little bit better the last 2 weeks against bad teams. Now we got to play good against 3 good teams.
Kickoff Sunday from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami will be at noon.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Giannis Antetokounmpo delivered a second straight game of 40 points or more. He had 45 last night, but it was not enough to help the Bucks overcome their disastrous first quarter start as they would fall in Cleveland to the Cavaliers 114-106. The Deer now will continue their road trip for Friday night against Brooklyn. And finally, speaking of Friday night, Wisconsin is back at home. They'll host Grambling State at the Kohl Center for an 8 o'clock tip. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Green Bay Packers as we welcome everybody in on the network. And we now bring in also our guy, Rob Reichel. And you can get him at Rob Reichel over on Twitter. And you can find him at Forbes.com and Conley Media and such, giving us some Packers coverage. Rob, how you doing today?
I'm great, Billy. You surviving this snowmageddon we're supposed to be dealing with?
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering how much we're actually going to get. So we'll wait and see. They keep telling me the massive amounts are coming, so I'll just hold my breath and see what happens before it's all said and done. I guess
They love to get the world worked into a tizzy, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You win with weather. That's what they tell you in the news departments. You win with weather. So we'll see.
There's no question about it. Ratings through the roof. So they know what sells.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely understand that. We used to get them handed to us all the time to say when the weather came on, when the weather was bad, it was like crazy people. So, okay. Does Santa Claus deliver a win for the Green Bay Packers, in your opinion?
Wow, we're going to cut to the chase right away. Hey,
yep.
We're not burying the lead today. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Billy. If they win the game, they're going to go to the playoff. I don't think they're going to win the game, though. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think there's going to be a ton of points on both sides. I think, for the casual fan who doesn't really care, who isn't caught up in Christmas craziness on Sunday, it's going to be a treat of a 3-hour game. But Billy, I think they lose like 34-30. I don't think they have quite the firepower that Miami has with those two remarkably gifted speed guys on the outside that the Dolphins are going to throw at them with Hill and Waddle. I think Mostert's going to have a big game on the ground. I think Green Bay's offense is coming into its own, and I think a year or two down the road, it's going to be high-powered again. It certainly wasn't high-powered in 2022, but they're at about 27 points a game over the last 5. They were at 17 a game for the first 9, Bill. So they're up 10 points a game over the last third of the season, and they've really found themselves on that side of the ball. But I don't have a lot of faith in Joe Barry. I don't have a lot of faith in Joe Barry's defense, and I think Miami's going to shred them. And I just don't think Green Bay is going to quite be able to keep up in this track meet, Billy.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern. And I was watching this morning, and I think it was on Get Up, and they said it's really not Aaron Rodgers against Tua. It's whether or not Jair, who's the highest paid corner in the league, can shut down Tyreek Hill, and then what they do with Waddle. And that's the matchup. And so when we talk about it, I think it has to go hand in hand with pass rush. I think we saw a few different things against the Rams that gave you a little bit of promise and some better tackling, but it's the Rams. You know what I mean? I go back to what you said about, whether or not Joe Barry and the defense and such and firepower. To me, I think the offense can score. It's just whether or not the defense can do enough or maybe create a turnover or two to be able to say, okay, offense, go win us a ball game,
And Bill, it's a 180 from what we were talking about back in September then when the season started, right? Can the offense catch up to where the defense was? We all anticipated this would be a top 5 defense in most kind of key statistical categories. They haven't come close to being that through the course of the year. And I think we all said back in September, when they opened the year, really for the most part, with kind of the trio of veterans with Sammy Watkins and Lazard and Cobb, that as these young guys came along, the offense would find itself by the second half of the season, and that's come kind of to fruition. That's been true. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think we all expected them to be dominant from the get-go, and that never took place. And Billy, when you think of it this way, had the defense held up its end of the bargain, they're not 6-8 right now. They're probably 8-6, 9-5, something like that. And now we're talking about what spot and what seed they're fighting for in the playoffs, rather than their 12% chance, which is what it is today of them even making the postseason whatsoever. I'm with you. Jair and Hill would be the key matchup of the game, but we've seen with Justin Jefferson in the past, Bill, all the way back to week 1, and then with certain high-level wideouts they've faced through the year, Joe Barry won't always and oftentimes doesn't do it at all, take his number 1 corner and let him shadow somebody like a Tyreek Hill or a Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. So I'm not positive that that's exactly what's going to happen with Jair. Barry likes to kind of stay true to who he is and keep guys on their specific side of the ball. If he does take that approach, Bill, now I'm not quite sure how they slow down Waddle, because Waddle against Rasul Douglas isn't, Douglas hasn't played to the level that he did in 2021. I don't think that's a particularly good matchup for Green Bay either. Mostert can kill him on the ground, like we talked about. They're fine at tight end. There's a lot of ways they can hurt Green Bay. I'll be really interested to see how Barry attacks it, what he tries to take away, because for everything you do try to take away, Bill, I think Miami's got a counter move and a chess piece where they're going to be able to come back with something else. I mean, it's probably unrealistic to think Green Bay is going to hold this group to 17 points or something like that on Christmas Day. I see Miami getting into the high 20s, low to mid 30s, something like that. So to me, the question becomes, can Green Bay keep up? And I think for most of the game they might, Bill. I think at the end of the day, Miami might have one or two more pieces on offense than the Packers do.
The Keyshawn Nixon question came up to Matt LaFleur and said, where has this guy been? Why has he not been the returner all season long? And Matt LaFleur's answer was like, I don't know, and very vague. Does the fact that Keyshawn Nixon has been sitting on this roster and asking to do this for a while now, does it concern you about talent evaluation when they kept running Amari Rodgers out there over this guy?
So when you say Matt LaFleur's answer was non-descriptive and vague, it's kind of like every Matt LaFleur answer we get.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
It is. It's remarkably puzzling, and really at the end of the day, it's inexcusable. And whether you want to put that on Matt or Rich Bisaccia or even like I talked about with your morning guys there today, Bill, maybe Brian Gutekunst had a play in this on some level. That's something I don't think we're ever gonna fully know, because he invested the 3rd round pick and probably wanted to give him every chance possible to prove that he belonged on the roster. But it is mind boggling. Now I know Nixon doesn't have a huge track record of doing kicks and punts in the past, but he did have a history with Bisaccia, and they experimented with him at times during training camp and certainly in the early part of the year with practices and things like that. They had to know deep down that he provided more juice and more pop than what Amari Rodgers was. I mean, just Bill, I'm going to throw one number at you, for example. Amari Rodgers returned 20 punts. Keyshawn Nixon has returned 6, and they're almost to the identical number of yards already, because Nixon's at 15 and a half and Rodgers was at 7. So, I mean, it is borderline crazy, that for so long they could have stayed married to Amari Rodgers and tied to the hip with him. And Bill, I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the fumbles, you do wonder if Rodgers would even, have been out of the lineup at any point in time. They seemed fine at the time to keep taking 20 yards a kick and 7 yards a punt return from Amari Rodgers. What eventually killed him was the fumbles. And I wonder if they would have ever even turned the page to Keyshawn Nixon, had Amari Rodgers not continued to put the ball on the ground. Now, having said all that, I mean, I think they've found their best guy at this spot since Desmond Howard back in 96. The juice that he brings is, Nixon, that is obviously is pretty incredible, Bill. And shame on them for missing out on that for half a season. But I think long term, when you start talking about, who you're going to keep around next year and who you're going to move on from, I think Nixon has jumped pretty high on that list of guys that need to be back on this roster.
I also look at the offensive line, and it seems like over time that got better as well. As much as we can talk about suddenly the emergence of Christian Watson, getting Romeo Doubs back, short of losing Bakhtiari to the appendectomy, who's just been snake bit this year, I think the offensive line has played quite a bit better. I know that Yosh Nijman did have issues in the game against the Rams the other day, and Rodgers was under pressure a couple of times. But for the most part, it seems like the line's playing better. Do you see it?
Totally agree. And I think part of the key there was, that they got Elton Jenkins back to left guard and stopped experimenting with him at right tackle and kind of moving him around and put him back to his best natural spot in his home, which is undoubtedly left guard. I think Myers has played dramatically better. I think guys have just, Bill, the key was early on in the season, they were juggling pieces almost every single week up there. They didn't know until Friday most of the time whether or not they'd have Bakhtiari, who the left tackle would be, who would have to slide where, et cetera, et cetera. And now even when Bakhtiari is out, which is pretty much consistent. I think in the last 34 games that they've played, Bill Bakhtiari's only played in 9 of them. So we're talking about a quarter of the time that he's been on the field. But, I don't know if it's the long-term replacement, Bill, in Zach Tom. But Zach Tom is undoubtedly a guy that's going to factor in and be a key part of their line moving forward. For years, Bill, we always said Bakhtiari was undersized out there at left tackle, 6'4", 310. And we said, can he hold up? Can he hold in high level at that position? Well, he developed into probably the best left tackle in football, became the highest left tackle in football, and probably was trending toward a Hall of Fame career before he messed up his knee so bad about 2 years ago, right about now, Bill. Zach Tom's measurements are real similar, 6'4", 305, extremely athletic, great feet, can move well. So, I mean, Bill, again, and I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, but when we start talking about what that roster is going to look like in 2023, a guy like David Bakhtiari, who's on the books for $29 million, probably isn't part of the future anymore because they may have their replacement there in Zach Tom. But I'm with you from start to finish. I think that group has gotten better. Some of the sacks they took the other night, especially like the one right before halftime, are completely on Aaron Rodgers for holding the ball too long. They've consistently run the ball at a pretty high level throughout the course of the year. So, no, Bill, I think the future is bright on that offensive line. But that's what should happen when you draft 3 a year. And Gutekunst for 3 straight years has taken 3 offensive linemen in the draft, and you hope 60%, 70% work out. And if they do, you're gonna be sitting pretty. So I think their offensive line is in good shape, Billy, moving forward.
Let's go to the defense for a second because Devontae Wyatt got meaningful snaps and looked pretty good the other night. Quay Walker had like a half where he was tipping balls. He seemed to be everywhere, making some tackles. He still doesn't get off offensive linemen really well, but if he ever figures out a move and can do that, that cat's going to be different. Could we look at this draft with Watson and Dobbs and even Torre, Zach Tom, Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker? Could we look at this and go, wow, this was the draft where he, Brian Gutekunst actually hit gold?
Yeah, and you didn't even mention Kingsley Enagbare,
right?
Who, right? I mean, he's obviously no one's going to replace Rashawn Gary, and he's had to step into that role and play meaningful snaps. And he's played about 60% of the snaps since Gary's injury, but he's come on well too. No, you're right, Bill. I mean, Wyatt and Walker are obviously the key. Walker flashed quite a bit again the other night. He's their leading tackler. I would say overall he's had I'd give him a B for his rookie season. The one thing, like you mentioned there, that he really does struggle in is he can get overwhelmed in the run game. If they get a guard or a center on him, he doesn't have that counter punch to get off of there. But in space, Quay Walker has been outstanding, and he can run anything down. And you saw the other night they allowed him to blitz a handful of times. I think they might have found something there. You're exactly right on those 2 rookie wide receivers. I think they probably have their number 1 and their number 2 moving forward. I mean, there's only 3 wide receivers under contract right now, Billy, for next year. And it's the 3 draft picks from this season. Everybody else, they're going to have to figure out when the off season comes, Lazard, Cobb, et cetera, even Robert Tonyan at tight end. So I think he hit it there on those 2 wide receivers. I think he hit it on Zach Tom. I think Enagbare is going to be a key backup moving forward. It's certainly right now, on paper, Bill, or hell, on the field too, it looks like Brian Gutekunst's best class, and he needed one because if you go back and examine his 2021 and his 2020 drafts, they weren't particularly good, and I think those were key reasons why they got off to the slow start that they did, because they weren't getting a lot of help from those draft classes, and they needed some help, especially early from those classes. But this rookie class has really jumped up, and to me, at least, Billy, it's taken a little bit of the heat off of Brian Gutekunst.
Rob, you go have a terrific Christmas. Watch the game. Hopefully, we're talking about a win, and then we'll get together real soon. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill, and I'll stand by this. If they win, they're going to have playoff football again. They'll probably be the 7th seed and go to San Francisco or Minnesota or something like that. But if they find a win, or find a way to win on Christmas, the Christmas miracle, we're talking about playoff football, I think, for the Packers. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun on the 25th. You have a great Christmas, too.
You too, bud. Talk to you soon. There you go. That's our buddy Rob Reichel joining us for a couple of minutes over on the hotline. Rob said it. They win this game. He believes there will be postseason football in the Green Bay Packers' future. How about that? Something that I never thought we'd be talking about when we stuck the dagger in them in the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. They just couldn't get off the field. The defense was horrific. Who knew? Who knew? So, well, we'll cross our fingers, right? Hey, last night, nice win. Admirals on the road, 5-2. They beat the rival, the Chicago Wolves. It continues to be good action. And I'm going to be down there next week, as a matter of fact, taking a big group down to the Admirals game. I'm looking forward to it. You know why? I start thinking about the Admirals. Not only do I think about good hockey and a lot of fun, I start thinking about that big-ass pretzel and a beer. Can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it. Milwaukee Admirals hockey, that is a team that if you're a hockey fan or you just like nights out, you just like a good raucous thing to go to, Milwaukee Admirals hockey, go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com, and they continue to win. Getting it done. Beat the rival Wolves. Love it. Love it. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gifts. We got to get gifts. The soup makers, the grillers, the kids, the breakfast connoisseurs, even the pets in our lives. Wait, don't panic. Go to ShowzyFamilyBeef.com. That's ShowzyFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hello, winners and doors of Wisconsin. First of all, I want to wish all of you an incredibly, very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season. But they do want to remind you that here comes the cold. We all know it's coming, right? The wind is going to start blowing. It's going to start howling. What they want you to do is listen. Listen. When the wind starts blowing, listen. You hear it coming through the window. You hear it coming through the cracks in the door, underneath, around the door, spraying. Are the windows cold? The door's cold? If so, you probably need to call our friends over there at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. They install year-round, and they can even finish an installation in as little as a day. And it is a free consultation. You have all next week to get it done today. Call them up. And what they're saying is like, look, hey, we want to make sure that you can pay the bills for all the stuff you bought for the elves this year. Okay? So don't worry about making any payments all the way through next year. All the way through next year. That puts you in 2024, right? So you have to start making your first payment. Not a bad way to go. Right now, you can get your home more beautiful, more economical, and also, in addition to that, you can have it safe. Safe. Think about that, too. When you start talking about whether or not your house is going to be safe, lock it up at night, door, you're good to go, without putting a stick in the door or doing things to it. Get it safe. Something to do. And the jingle in your pocket is safe. And their elves are going to come out and install. They're going to come out and measure twice. They custom manufacture, they custom assemble, they custom install, and they get it done. That's our thing. I can't recommend it enough. The discount is hang on for it next break. And I ran into the great one. Irma, it's a 70. Set right at 70. Doesn't move. Love it. It used to be like on a day like today, especially with the cold weather coming, it would be 62, 63 in there at best. Okay, so love it. Absolutely love it. Go to PellaWI.com. P-E-L-L-S. PellaWI.com. PellaWI.com. 855-PELLA-WI. That is 855-PELLA-WI. A reminder coming up in about 40 minutes. Get your fantasy football questions in. The Charge is going to be here. The Charge is going to join us. So if you got something coming up here at the end of your fantasy season, you need a little help or just maybe a little verification, validation, get a hold of our buddy Charge. So start getting your questions in now. By live stream, email, or you can hit us up over on Twitter as well. You can call the program in about 45 minutes. Stay tuned for all of that. Fire System says, no way the Green Bay Packers are heading to the postseason. They'll win in Miami, but they will not then at home. They'll lose one of those two for sure, and thus knock themselves out of the playoffs. And what about Detroit? Here's the thing. If the Packers, and I haven't sat down and looked at it. I'll be honest, we had this question come up the other day. All I know is that it has been stated by the NFL on the NFL Network, and I was watching it again this morning. If the Packers win out, and if Seattle loses one more, and either New York loses all three of the Giants, they lose all three, or you've got Washington loses two of the next three, which could happen. And the Packers win out. The Packers are in the postseason. That we know. So I have not looked at all the other scenarios and tiebreakers and all the other percentages in conference, out of conference, blah 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 blah.
I haven't looked at all of that. So I'm just saying that from what I understand, because people are hitting me up with, well, what about if they end up with the same record as Detroit and this and that? I don't know. I'm just telling you, if you go to the NFL Network, if you go to NFL.com, if you go to ESPN.com, if you go to CBSSports.com, in the NFL section, when you start to look at all these different scenarios, if the Packers win out and the Giants either lose the next three, the Commanders lose their next two, or either or, and then you get to Seattle. If Seattle, say, gets beat tonight, then that's another step out of the way. If Seattle gets beat tonight by the 49ers, then that's out of the way. That means Seattle will have lost their two. Then all you're hoping for is either the Commanders to lose two of their next three, which very well could happen, or the Giants to lose all three of their next three, which I don't think would happen. But then it's just the Packers win out, and they're in. The rest of that, I don't know. I apologize. I have not sat down with all the analytics and done the task at hand when, to be quite honest with you, I just look at what the NFL says, and if the NFL says this is what happens, then that's the way we kind of go with it. I haven't looked at the reasons as to why. You know why? Because if you look at the tiebreaker situation, it gets kind of convoluted once you get past head to head and in conference and in division and percentages, and it gets kind of crazy. So I haven't gotten that far, but that's the reason. 877-816 went ahead of their thoughts on what book it. Rob Reichel, who many say Rob is honest or negative. Rob Reichel says if they win this game in Miami, the Packers, in his opinion, will be playoff bound. Thoughts? Ben, did your chin? I heard a little bit of a little knock. Was that your chin hitting the desk when Rob said that?
No. Prior to popular belief.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think they'll win. If they win, I will view the last two games differently because they're not going to win this game without some improvements on defense or just a phenomenal offensive day. But I still look at that Lions game as maybe their toughest test to left. And going to Miami makes this one obviously harder. But when you talk about a playoff game, if the Packers are still in that position, I don't know. What the Lions do scare me. And the Vikings aren't a pushover. So I think out of those two games, I would assume, I would doubt they would win both.
I think the tougher game would be the Detroit Lions. I know that sounds crazy. I don't know why. I just, from what there's just this different level of, because I still got to give the Minnesota Vikings credit. They came back from a 33-point deficit and just said, let's strap it up and go. And that was an impressive comeback. Now, granted, it was against the Colts, but that's still an impressive comeback, 33 points down. And they didn't quit. And that's fantastic. But there is something right now going on over in Detroit. And they have become believers. And if this game were in Detroit, I would say there's no way. I would probably go in favor of the Lions in that case. But since the game is at Lambeau and the weather has turned, I don't care if you live in it, but when you don't play in it, it's a little different. It's a little different when you're accustomed to being inside. There's no reason to ever put your team outside because you're always playing inside. But when you have to play in it, it's a little different. But the last time I said that about a warm weather team, I also was talking about everything being perfect and it was going to be a snow globe and wind and cold. And Aaron Rodgers was saying, yeah, this is our weather. And then they got their ass kicked by the 49ers. So while it's going to be difficult for the Lions and the Vikings to come over to Lambeau Field in the cold, in the elements and such, and play, it's not like they don't live in it. They can go practice in it every damn day and get ready for this contest. They don't have to stay inside and practice inside and say that we don't have an acclimation to the weather, because I would assume that's what they would do. So, but it is still a little tougher to go on the road and play in the elements and play an opposing team that is really looking to make their mark and get themselves in the postseason and has their backs against the wall. But then again, we know the Vikings at that point, the Vikings may not even have anything to play for. Because this week, if the Vikings get a win and Philadelphia gets a win, everything for the most part is they've already locked up the North. I think everything for the most part would be pretty much set. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. Because you've got Minnesota with 11 wins. No other division. Well, there's San Francisco. So if the Vikings win this weekend and San Francisco should lose, then chances are the Vikings are going to end up with the 2 seed regardless. Right now, they're jockeying for seed with San Francisco, who sits with 10 wins and plays tonight. So if the the San Francisco plays tonight and gets a win, and the Vikings get a win this weekend, which we're kind of actually hoping for, because the Vikings are playing New York, right, Ben? The Giants.
Yeah,
and they're playing them at home. They're playing them at US Bank Stadium. So you're kind of hoping that the Vikings get the win. I really think Seattle's going down. You're kind of hoping for San Francisco to get the win tonight too, but the Vikings could still have some jockeying for position to play for when they come into Lambeau Field next week. We'll see. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Got a lot more to get to. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This December, it's a cash avalanche at Potawatomi. Saturdays, you could get buried in up to 10 grand cash. Plus, all the unclaimed prizes snowball into a huge cash jackpot at the end of the month. Just play with your club card for a chance to win. Sure, presents are nice, but nothing beats cold, hard cash. Only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More info at paysbig.com/cold cash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I'm going to head down to the bar tonight because the house is decorated. Everything's clean. Everything's ready to go, Christmas-wise. I think tonight I'm going to head downstairs, going to turn the game on, enjoy that, and I might grab the stick, that smoothie stick or whatever it is for the phone, and I'll turn the video on. I'll just go room to room, just kind of take you through the house. Here you go. Kind of walk around.
You mean a selfie stick?
No, it's a stick that does the it's got like a gyroscope on it, and it doesn't allow it to bounce. You know what I'm talking about? It's the cameras that they use. It's a setup that they use on the field. You know how when the cameraman runs out on the field and follows a player, like to the huddle or something, you know, there's a contraption that was built, God, years ago. It was actually out of Hollywood for videographers to be able to run without having the camera bounce. And they have taken that technology and put it into a for your phone. It's got a little hook on it, and you turn it on, and it's got like a gyroscope feature. So when you run, it doesn't bounce; it just kind of slides, and it keeps it pretty smooth. So it's kind of cool. It's not my selfie stick. I take my selfie stick in my backpack every now and then, and I'll use it. Although I can't figure out for whatever reason it's not working right, because I've got a remote control on it. It's not working because Mike and I tried to use it this past weekend. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run through the house, kind of like maybe it looks like
start running gassers in the living room.
I might, yeah, I might. That I'm in the great room. Great room's a little bit bigger. It's probably about 25, 30 yards long. I can do that. But yeah, just kind of walking through the house and just kind of do all the different rooms, do a little Christmas holiday spirit, put some music on the backside of that thing. Yeah, I can do that. Get back down to the I will say this. I got a bottle. I told you at the party people were bringing different drinks and such, different bottles over. I got an unopened bottle of Buffalo Trace bourbon. I got an unopened bottle of a new bottle of Eagle Rare. I got an unopened bottle of Angel's Envy, the 10-year Whistle Pig. I got a Remington, high-end Remington, and I just got a buddy of mine sent me the a high-end Weller's, because you can get Weller's for even from $60 all the way up to like $1,000. And the one that I looked up, because I'm like, how much is this? And he said, no, he got it from his boss, and they were giving out bonuses, and so he sent it to me, and it's about a $600 bottle of Weller's. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got all that down there. I'm ready to go. I might have a little glass of something and a couple of beers tonight. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going anywhere. So I might, provided the fact that I don't end up in the ER with the back pain and a kidney stone, I might do that tonight. So I'm sitting here drinking a ton of Gatorade, ton of water today, but that's my night. I might just walk through the house, light the candles, just hang out, watch the snow go, storms outside. Oh, it's that kind of night. It's that kind of night. I got to get the wood in though. That's the one thing I haven't done yet. I got to go outside and start bringing in the firewood for both the bedroom and the great room. So we'll get that done, but it's that kind of night. It's called a stabilizer stick. Thank you very much, Pac-Man. It's a stabilizer stick. That's basically what it is. It stabilizes the phone. You learned something today, Ben. You feel better?
Yeah.
I don't blame
I'm just concerned.
You're concerned about what? About just getting home?
I'm just wondering whether I'm going to get home today.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's been the only thing on my mind.
By the way, We have a snowfall update. I don't get any music.
I'm not playing the music.
Oh, God, it sucks. You get it.
What, is there a ruler?
Yeah. NBC Madison. NBC Madison, the meteorologist has taken side. And it's just over 3.5 inches. Just over 3.5 inches. Kudos to Amanda Morgan. From NBC 15, mid-morning check, snow falling. Here's where we stand. Madison's total line up with meteorologist Amanda Morgan. Little over 3.5, almost 4 inches of snow. Almost 4 is where she's at with a ruler. There you go.
I'm telling you, it's a good tool.
Oh, wait a minute. She didn't use the ruler. She used a yardstick. Here we go. Yardstick.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. She's walking out there with some big stuff. So she's walking around with a yardstick. Hate to be her boyfriend. But there you go. How are we looking? Just saying, man. She posted that about 45 minutes ago. LaFleur.
Do you think yardsticks are ever used? I mean, today it's being used for something productive.
Yeah.
There's any other day it's used productively.
Every now and then they're used probably in construction. That's probably about it. Or
it's like tape measures, though.
Yeah, see, back in the day, they were shipped in bulk. Yardsticks were usually to parochial schools for nuns to use. Whack!
Exactly.
Mr. Michaels. And I'm sitting there playing, paper football, my buddies. Whack!
It wasn't
right
very productive.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And every now and then, when they were writing on the board and their backs were to you, if you really got one, if you really launched one, you would either hit her back, and she wouldn't notice. But what you ran the risk of was if it missed her, like was wide right or wide left, and it hit the board.
What, a spitball?
No. I used to play. I would never do the spitballs. Those things are gross. I would flip you fold the paper into like a little tiny triangle, and then you post it with your finger. You'd hold it up, and then your other finger, you go bink, and you'd flick it, and you'd be like, holding the football and then kicking it, and you were always trying to, split the uprights. But if you could actually, as she was writing on the board, nuns were always wearing the, the habits and the big loose clothing. So if you could put it right, if you could split the uprights, you could put it right in the back of the habit, it would hit, and she'd never know because of the loose clothing. She wouldn't feel it. But if you missed, you were wide right or wide left, man. Boy, and it would hit the board, especially if it scared her. We had a nun, Sister Elizabeth, and it would scare her. Oh, what was that? Oh my goodness! And it was like bugs were dropping out of the ceiling or something. But boy, she'd look down and she'd go, "All right, who did it?" And that ruler would come up, that yardstick, and she would tap the desk in front. Who did it? Who did it? Then everybody's looking around. Everybody knows who did it. Nobody'd say anything. And then finally there'd always be one straight A student that would hold their hand up, like hold it up like they're like a dividing, wall. And then she'd look at the teacher and then like either point left or right, like take the other hand and point like right there is Mr. Michaels. He did it. And the next thing you know, whack. So yeah, used to play paper football all the time, man. I have completely bored the hell out of you now, haven't I?
It's interesting. Learning about yardsticks.
That was the only time I ever saw a yardstick used. My mom would use it every now and then if she had to measure like for something on the wall. She would hold it up to the ceiling if she wanted to hang a picture, hold it up to the ceiling and measure down where she wanted the picture. And then if it had like 2 marks on the back of the picture or whatever, then she'd put 2 different, things in the wall, go from there, whatever. So there's life in the fast lane. Oh my goodness. As Tom says, big morning this morning. I put on my camouflage. It was starting to snow. I went outside with my rifle. I thought I'd do a little hunting. I finally bagged a big buck until I realized the lights went out and I shot the reindeer in the neighbor's yard.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Isn't wearing camouflage when it's all snowy out completely defeats the purpose of it being camouflage?
You'd be better out there going out there in a big white comforter and laying down.
Or naked, right?
No.
I mean, in theory, right?
No.
Like wearing camouflage, you stick out from the snow.
Oh my God. No. What if you, I'll tell you right now, if you're out there laying under a white comforter in the middle of Rayovac Avenue in Madison, and chances are I'm going to drive by you, really not notice you. But if Ben Kenny's laying out there naked, I'm crashing my car into a tree.
I mean, the point is I would blend in better with the snow than had I been wearing camouflage.
Because you're pasty white?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I get that. Yeah, probably better than camouflage, but
that was my point.
Okay, I got you. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you right now, if Ben Kenny's laying naked in the snow, you're not going to be able to pee till June. Just saying. Throwing it out there.
Do I get workman's comp for that?
Yeah, how are you going to explain that? How are you going to explain that to
content
OSHA?
for the show?
I was doing some content for the show. I went outside. I had a rifle with me. I was naked. I laid face down. Next thing you know, bam, no turtle. Just, can I get workman's comp? They're going to call you back and go, blow in your thumb. See what happens. Nothing popped out. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Let's take a break. This is stupid. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, ho, ho! I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it 2 years later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hell no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Sure, with the license for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers have practice today installing the game plan for their trip to face the Dolphins. Wide receiver Sammy Watkins is now back with the Baltimore Ravens after he was waived by the Packers on Monday. After reviewing the game film, Packers safety Adrian Amos says the key to holding the Rams is just 156 yards total offense was Green Bay's defensive line and the linebackers.
I think our front did a great job. They had a great game. Our front seven, they controlled it. They weren't able to run the ball. A couple plays here and there, but when the front do that job and dominate up there, then it makes the game a lot more fun for the back end.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
LA has had a rash of injuries up front, so it was a favorable matchup, I would say, for our guys, and that's what you got to do. You got to win when you're expected to win, and I thought for the most part our guys were able to do that.
Rasul Douglas intercepted a Baker Mayfield pass, and instead of just running with it, he says he decided to lateral it to Adrian Amos, nearly fumbled it.
When he grabbed me and I kind of twisted me, I seen Smash and Rudy. So I was like, all right, if I could just grip the ball and throw it to one of them.
Smash and Rudy?
No, that's why I messed up. That was my first mistake. You know what I'm saying? That was my first mistake right there. And then when I went to go throw it, it slid. But I was already in the process, so as I was going down, I just underhand, and then I seen it hit the ground. I was like, damn, it's about to be like the Raiders and the Patriots. In my head, I like, damn.
That's Packers defensive back Rasul Douglas. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Hey, coming up tonight, maybe you're out and about, braving the elements. You know what? I just need a place to go. And tonight is trivia night. Now, the Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill. Happy Thursday, as they say. If you know as much as you think you do, they have some tickets to give away. Our testing and knowledge coming up tonight, 7:30. They've got all kinds of specials. They have long teams going on tonight.
Pub and Grill. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. Okay, we screwed around in the last segment, and I apologize for that. Let's do this. Let's get back at it. Let's go to Tyler listening to us in Waukesha. Tyler, how you doing, man? What's up?
Doing good, Bill. How's it going?
Doing great. What are you thinking?
I think the only way they can win is if they follow the blueprint of San Francisco and the Chargers. Joe Barry's got to get over his ego, and you got to go with a game plan that's working, because the soft zone crap that they've been doing all year just isn't cutting it.
Right.
You can't play on third and 4. You can't be 8 yards off the ball. Whatever Rasul Douglas was doing there again, Higby, that's not defense.
Right. The thing that I've always said is, if you're going to go down swinging, man. You don't have a lot left to lose. Don't play scared. Play aggressive.
Rasul Douglas is a physical corner. Let him be physical.
Right.
Those are two smaller guys. You jam them within the 5 yards that you're allowed, and you throw off their timing. That's going to be what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree. Give your pass rush some time to get home.
Yep, 100%. 100%. How is it where you're at in Waukesha right now? Is it getting crazy on you?
It's not too bad, but it's December in Wisconsin.
There you go. We all know it's coming. Have at it. Good stuff, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the phone call. he drops off, you get on board. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. Now, here's something for you. When it comes to clinching a playoff berth in for the to clinch a playoff spot, before they even face the Lions, they're at least 1.5 games ahead of their competition, considering they're just a half game behind the Commanders, and a tiebreaker, which can define as much as a half game as well, behind the Seahawks. It's clear what needs to happen. Detroit wins the next 2 games. They're on the road against the Panthers and the Bears. Seahawks need to lose the next 2 games, which I said earlier, the 49ers, it's the Chiefs they play. They're playing on the road tonight against the Chiefs and then against the Jets. The Commanders lose the next 2 games or lose and tie at the 49ers and at the Browns. That way the Lions, when they come to town, they're already in. They'd be in. That game would be meaningless with the Packers. Think about that. The Lions could already have it wrapped up as far as getting into the postseason by week 18. Whoa. There you go. Hey, fantasy football, it's up next. Get your questions in right now. Paul Charchian is going to join us coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers going to head to Miami on Saturday. It's where they're going to take on the Dolphins on Christmas Day in a huge matchup for both teams. Dolphins have lost 3 straight, desperately need a win. Packers have won 2 in a row to move to 6-8, but need to win out and get some help to have a shot at the playoffs. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers said things could have continued to go bad for them after losing 5 straight earlier in the year, but they're able to stem the tide to put themselves in the position they are.
What is the most important thing, and what is that we're still playing a meaningful football game on Christmas and got a chance to have a lot of things in front of us. Now, obviously, we'll be watching Saturday, and there's some things need to go our way, but we're going to go down and get a win. And then I said a few weeks ago, we just get one, and we get another one. And things look a little bit different going into this game, and get this one. Things look a little bit different going into the next one.
The only 2 players not to practice yesterday, Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari. Jenkins likely to play Sunday, while Bakhtiari still recovering from an appendectomy. His status remains fluid, could practice tomorrow, according to Coach Matt LaFleur. Turning to the Badgers, they signed 14 players as part of Luke Fickell's first recruiting class yesterday, included 3 4-star players, highlighted by cornerback Amari Snowden out of Michigan. Meanwhile, the current team getting ready to face Oklahoma State in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl next Tuesday.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucs were 114-106 losers in Cleveland last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 45 points and 14 rebounds in the loss. They'll be taking on Brooklyn tomorrow. And the Wisconsin basketball team's game against Grambling State set for tomorrow has been canceled due to the weather. Won't be rescheduled. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
George, how you been, buddy?
I've been great. Thank you. You know what? You would not have guessed at this time last week that the Vikings would have another in a series of unbelievable finishes. And it's been such a crazy roller coaster season.
Okay, let's go back to that. Let's go back to that real quick because everybody thought, and I even said, hey, I'm not putting it past the Vikings to lose this game with it even down 33 because we've seen them and we know the Colts are not a good team. But because you're up there, give me what the reaction was like because they get booed off the field at halftime and they're getting grilled. Yeah. And what was it like, and what is that city like after watching that, the largest comeback in NFL history?
It was it's still buzzing a little bit. City is still buzzing. Whatever, 5 days later now, there's something that's very hard to quantify about this team that makes it special because they're all just crazy close games, weird things happening. But sooner or later, when it happens like 8 times, at that point you just go, okay, I'm just going to go for the ride, right? I think we stopped as a fan base, stopped worrying about the fact that we're not beating teams by 28 points, and we're just accepting the fact that this team just somehow, some way finds ways to win in miraculous, historic fashion. We're only 5 games removed from epic game
where the Vikings became the first team in the history of the Buffalo franchise to come back from 20. It's just, I don't know what to tell you, Bill. It's just, you can't, I've got a defibrillator next to my sofa just to restart my heart every Sunday because it's always something crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. It was bananas to watch. And I said at the time that if the Colts lost that game, there's no way Jeff Saturday should ever be roaming the sidelines as a head coach again. And I still feel that way today, without a doubt.
It's over. Yeah. It's totally over for Jeff Saturday at this point. I mean, the last two games they gave up 33 points in a quarter to Dallas 2 weeks ago, and then this happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And now the desperation move to Nick Foles.
Right.
And here's another thing. This loss wasn't on Matt Ryan at all. Matt Ryan didn't throw the game to the Vikings not even a little. So I did not like that move, and I feel bad for Matt Ryan. This loss is not on Matt Ryan.
I wanted to ask you, speaking of all the weather and everything that's going on, how much does this affect fantasy? Because whether it's quarterbacks in wind and snow and cold and such, being able to throw the football, or the run games becoming more prevalent, how much does this change the fantasy outlook with the weather the way it's going to be this weekend in so many different cities?
Yeah, and thank God your game is in Miami, right? I assume you guys are getting what I'm getting. It's -6 here in Minneapolis.
It's not. We're going to get it. It's not here yet. It's right now. I'm looking at 23 degrees outside my house and a little bit of a snow globe, but the wind is starting to kick up.
Okay, all right. So it's heading your way. So be glad you're going to miss that. But there are going to be 6 games coming up this weekend where the temperature is going to be 17 degrees or less. Bill, now. The presumption, everybody's mind is these cold weather games that all the scoring gets diminished and everybody's got to panic about their fantasy players and they got to get those guys off of the field. So I decided to actually look it up. All right. So I went in, and the first thing I did is I looked to see across the last 3 years, what is the average NFL score? And it is 45 points. Any game, the last 3 years, 45 points. Then, Bill, I said, since our games, our cold weather games, we have 6 games at 17 degrees or less. How about under 17 degrees? Over the last decade, there have been 27 games played at 17 degrees or less. And that 45-point average drops all the way down to 43 points.
So not a ton.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not even a field goal difference.
Right.
In these cold weather games. And so for the most part, I'm saying don't panic. Now, there's some of these games. Now, we could have wind in some of these games, and that could change a lot. If we get 20 miles an hour winds on top of 10 degrees, as you and your listeners know, now we're talking about like a -15, -20 wind chill. Yeah. At that point, I think I'd start to hesitate, but I'm not panicking yet. And we don't know that that's going to be the case anywhere quite yet.
I've got one here for you. It says, who to start, A.J. Dillon or Zonovan Knight tonight?
Yeah. So What's Dylan's health status? Let me ask you that. You're on top of it.
He's back. He's good to go.
Okay. All right. Good to go. All right. So that's good news. So we're happy. We'll be glad that he's able to go in this one. I thought, and I think we may have talked about this last week, I thought we'd see a little more Aaron Jones, and that, now healthy coming out of the bye last week would be an Aaron Jones game. And he, he was clearly a factor, but Dylan got a ton of work last week too. So I don't know that that's necessarily going to be a safe assumption going forward. And I like A.J. Dillon as well here. And Dillon's going to get the majority of carries near the stripe, which is always has been the case all year long. All that said, Donovan Knight doesn't really share it with anybody because turns out that guy's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Knight's a player. They unearthed a real gem, which you can never. When do we ever say that about the Jets? Unearthing a gem. Yeah, never happens. Let me tell you a little bit about this kid. He started 4 games so far. He's been over 100 yards in half of those games. And he gets the Jaguars tonight. Back-to-back opponents have run for over 120 yards against the Jaguars. And on the season, running backs averaging a whopping 138 total yards against the Jags. If Donovan Knight's going to get most of 138 total yards, I'm in, baby. They've also allowed rushing touchdowns in 4 straight games. So Donovan Knight, I think, is absolutely startable. A guy that we barely even knew who he was a month ago. He's my number 14 ranked running back this week.
I got one. Would you start A.J. Brown? They have CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Would you put A.J. Brown in the flex?
I'm not worried so much about Gardner Minshew. And I'll tell you why. One, we got to look at him in this offense last year. He played 2 games. One was a Week 18 that didn't really matter as much. And then we've got another game that he played that was middle of the season, and he looked good. And Dallas is going to bring a ton of pressure, because that's what they do, Bill. That they're all about disrupting quarterback play. But their secondary is objectively awful. They got Trayvon Diggs, who's good. That's it. Everybody else, their safeties, their other cornerbacks are awful. They're going to start at cornerback for the first time ever something called Nahshon Wright. He has never started a game. He's played 77 coverage snaps in his entire NFL career. And that guy is going to be out there trying to stop A.J. Brown. No chance. I'm keeping A.J. Brown in my lineup.
I've got another one here for you. Let me grab it real quick because it was an email. I have to switch screens. But this one is Etten or Latavius Murray?
Travis Etienne is tonight, and I don't love this matchup. He's it's this Jets defense is very good, and they're going to get their defensive lineman Quinnen Williams back tonight, so that's very helpful. Jets allow the 5th fewest yards, 4 per carry, and the 5th fewest touchdowns to opposing running backs. In the last 7 games against the Jets, only Minnesota's runners have scored. So this is a tough matchup for Travis Etienne. We'll find somebody else to help us out if we can.
The next one I have sitting here, come up. There we go. Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow this weekend, and that's from Jacob.
That is a good question, because Joe Burrow is red hot right now, but Patrick Mahomes got a fantastic matchup. Seattle's allowed multiple touchdown passes for the past 6 games. The only 2 quarterbacks that didn't get multiple touchdowns were Sam Darnold and Bryce Perkins. So Patrick Mahomes is going to be fine here. And, as good as Joe Burrow and as hot as he is right now, we're still going to stick with Patrick Mahomes, who is my top-ranked quarterback of the week.
Goes back to an A.J. Dillon question, but Montgomery for the Bears or Dillon for the Packers? The Bears have a tough matchup at home, but they're going to be running the ball in cold weather against the tough Bills defense.
Yes, and let's talk about here's the problem for David Montgomery, and he's powered people into the playoffs. And it's probably over because Khalil Herbert is coming back. And Herbert, you'll remember, that was an even 50-50 timeshare before Herbert got hurt. And here's the thing. Objectively, Khalil Herbert's the better back. He averaged 6 yards per carry. He ranks number 1 in the league in rushing efficiency by next-gen stats. He's chipping in almost 80 yards per game. They're all better stats than Montgomery had when it was a shared backfield. So here comes Khalil Herbert starting this weekend, fresh legs, and we know that for David Montgomery, because we've seen the history, his yardage, touchdowns, and fantasy points all drop in half when Herbert's back. So he's out.
There you go. More regarding Montgomery, because there's a question over here. Would you put Jamal Williams or Montgomery? Jamal Williams has been nothing but a scoring machine for Detroit.
Yeah, he has, and if it comes down to Montgomery or Jamal Williams, I'm gonna roll the dice on Williams. Now he doesn't give you much else, and if he doesn't score, enjoy your 45 yards because that's all you're gonna get.
Right.
But hopefully it'll end up happening here. Of the 11 rushing scores Carolina has allowed to running back, 10 of the 11 have been within 7 yards, and that's the striking range for Jamal Williams. So hopefully that will be the case here.
A couple other pieces of notes that I wanted to get to. When you talk about some of the quarterbacks coming back and being healthy, Lamar Jackson coming back, some of these other guys coming back, I wanted to get into that because how quick are you then to turn it around and go, okay, this guy's probably got fresh legs. He's probably got, obviously a want. With Lamar Jackson being injured, you got Jalen Hurts not playing. We talked about Kyler Murray a little bit. Give us thoughts on the wire sleepers maybe this week and some of these quarterbacks that are not healthy.
Yeah, so we're not going to have Jackson, Hurts, Murray, Tannehill, others. It's not great for quarterbacks. A lot of people are trying to find help. I mentioned Gardner Minshew earlier. I like him, and I think Gardner Minshew is a nice guy you could pivot to in a game in which the Cowboys have not been great against the pass. Daniel Jones is the other guy against my Vikings. And Jones's receivers are awful, but the Vikings secondary is too. They're allowing the most passing yards by a mile, and they've been even worse lately. Get this, over the last 5 weeks, Vikings allowing 343 passing yards per game. And Daniel Jones, he won't get to 343. But but could he get to 250? Sure. And then he could chip in another 50 on the ground because the Vikings have struggled against rushing quarterbacks. And Daniel Jones he's got some wheels. So yeah, Daniel Jones will be the other guy that I like.
I got one more real quick. I know you got to run, but there's some talk about tonight's contest, obviously with Trevor Lawrence as well, and taking on that Jets pass rush and pass game.
This is a tricky matchup, and I Trevor Lawrence comes in red hot. He's thrown for over 300 yards and at least 3 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games. He's playing great, but much tougher matchup than he's had over this last month with New York, the league's best pass defense. They have surrendered 0 or 1 passing touchdown in every game since week 4, and they've got the defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner, who is Pro Football Focus's top-ranked coverage corner, not among rookies. He's the NFL's top-ranked coverage corner. That's how good Sauce Gardner is. And the other cornerbacks, DJ Reed, Michael Carter, are all really good too. So there's no matchup that I like for Trevor Lawrence here, and I wouldn't start him tonight if you can find other good options.
George, you and Roxy, the family, have a great holiday, great Christmas, and we'll talk again next week, okay?
Merry Christmas, Bill. Thanks for the chat, and we'll talk one more time. Next week is our New Year's week will be championship week, fantasy football. We'll do it one more time for all the money.
Looking forward to it. Talk to you then, bud. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
See ya. There you go. Our buddy Paul Charchian joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Charch is great. Charch is great. I saw as a matter of fact, I saw his wife Roxy over on Facebook. They were doing some good dinner stuff, and I saw that she was doing some Christmas cooking as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. And hopefully we got all your questions answered. This came from Mike Lade. He said, by the way, and he asked the same question about Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. Hopefully you got your answer before you sent your question in. So Charch answered that. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Quick Trip. I did it last night. I stopped in, and I've been buying the specials. And then it asked me. I typed in my number when I went to get gas last night because I wanted to fill up before today. And I filled up, and I typed my my number in, my Quick Rewards number. And sure enough, it says, would you like an additional 10 cents off a gallon? Yes. That's a score right there. Feeling pretty good about it. Quick Trip. They always have some kind of offer. They have different things that they are, 2 for, I think it was $5.37 on the Red Bulls. They had some breakfast sandwiches that were on sale. They've got the 25 days of Quickmas, which continue on all the way through Christmas. I almost said Quickmas. But that being said, they do a great job. And all you got to do is get your Quick Rewards card, get your number, type it in. Every time you go in there, you're going to see all the rewards begin to stack up. It's fantastic. Check out our friends over there at Quick Trip. And again, they want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all that kind of good stuff from our friends at Quick Trip.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy? Hey, we got you covered with quick, hot savings only at Quick Trip.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Christmas from John Atley and the gang over there at the Water Doctors. Go to H2, the letter O, doctors.com, H2odoctors.com for the best water softening system out there. That's the Kinetico water softening system. And you can just, if you're looking for one, to rent one, buy one, building a new house, you want to upgrade, whatever it happens to be, for the best water, the softest water, the water that's going to make your clothes cleaner, your shower heads aren't going to calcify, the taste of the water, the drinking water out of the reverse osmosis is going to be fantastic. All of that. 262-549-7733. Doesn't matter where you're in the state, because he can help you out. He can help you out. 262-549-7733. And if he doesn't have that area, he will get you in touch with the right people. 262-549-7733. 262-549-7733, or go to H2, the letter O, doctors.com. I do want to ask, and I'm going to bring you in here for a second, Ben. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up here in a minute. But I want to ask after the bottom of the hour, the overall result, in your opinion, of the signing day. And we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, because I get text messages. I'm getting them from Cincinnati, from people that, Cincinnati obviously lost a few of their recruits to Luke Fickell. Some friends that are saying, "Hey, how was the recruit class for Luke Fickell?" So kind of put that in the back of your mind, because I want to kind of talk a little bit about that after the bottom of the hour. Matt LaFleur just met with the media not that long ago, just a short time ago. Let's take a listen to what he has to say on this Thursday, getting ready for Miami.
Matt, are you guys going to adjust anything with the weather, travel, practice, anything this week?
Practice is a little bit modified, I'd say, just more because of the fact that we played Monday evening and guys are still in that recovery process. So made some adjustments to practice.
Travel-wise, you'll stick to the routine.
Well, take that back. Yeah, we did kick the travel back a little bit, but it had more to do with the holiday, less to do with the weather.
Even later on Saturday.
Correct.
Contingency plans for tomorrow if roads are bad and guys can't get here?
It's Green Bay, right? We'll have everybody get their snowmobiles out for us, like they did in Buffalo. Is it supposed to be that bad? Yeah. It's full of questions today.
You guys good?
Pat, I'll throw one out. I know we asked you a lot about Keyshawn, but the last few years you've had a lot of guys kind of come out of nowhere to make the impact on a team. You look at Rasul last year, Allen your first year. What kind of jolt does that give a team when a guy that maybe week one wasn't necessarily considered a starter, a core guy in terms of offense or defense, starts contributing in those ways?
Yeah, I think it's important every year. I think there's always guys that are going to kind of, I don't want to say sneak up, but are going to get a little bit more opportunity and take advantage of those opportunities. And I think that's every year in the National Football League. On every team, there's people that maybe you don't have or don't expect to make that big of an impact that do. And we're lucky and fortunate when that happens, because certainly we'd love to see that from everybody, just exceed the expectations or whatever is out there on these guys.
What kind of challenges does Tua bring this week?
Well, certainly he's playing at a really high level. I think he's a guy that throws with such great anticipation. Just watching him, he'll definitely throw the ball well before receivers are breaking. He makes good decisions. Isn't he leading the league and I don't pay attention to this all the time, the stats, but isn't he leading the league in rating? So, I mean, I think that says a lot right there. He does a great job of taking care of the football. Like I said, it's hard when quarterbacks throw with anticipation, sometimes that can be hard to defend, and especially to the guys that he's thrown it to. So he's got a lot of weapons. I think they do a great job offensively, scheming things against what you do defensively and really put their guys in a great position. But, ultimately the players got to go out there. They got to read it the right way. They got to make the correct decisions. And I think that's what you're seeing from him. He's a guy that you can definitely has been coached the right way in regards to reading with his feet. And he's doing a good job getting through his progressions and getting to the guys that are, open.
It's easier for idiots like me to see Devontae Wyatt when he makes the splash plays, but what have you thought of him during his limited snaps and see put himself in position to get more playing time?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's done a nice job. I think it's been a little bit of a learning curve for him, but he shows improvement each and every week, and I can tell he's into it. And I think he's earning more opportunities, and certainly when he goes in there and does a great job, that's going to lead to more opportunities. So he's got to take advantage of every snap he gets, and that's not only in the game, but that's in practice as well, because that gives us confidence as coaches when you go out there and practice and show that you know what you're doing, then that typically leads to more opportunities in the games.
Any chance Dave will practice this week?
Not today, potentially tomorrow. We'll see where he's at.
So it's not at a point where you feel like he needs to be shut down for the season.
No, yeah.
Christian saw a lot of Jalen Ramsey on Monday night. Do you think the Dolphins might, employ Xavier Howard in a similar fashion? And just what does that do for the growth of a young player like Christian to have those challenges?
Well, when you're going against great players, it can't help but, make you better. Sometimes it's tough lessons as well. So, we'll have a plan for whatever they want to deploy against us. And, they've got more than just Howard. They got a lot of great players, and we're going to have to do a great job really at every level, blocking the front, and then guys beating tight coverage, because they are not afraid to go up there and get in your grill and give you some hard jam. And they do a good job of mixing up their zoning defense with their man-to-man coverages. Good. All right, guys, have a good one.
There you have it. That is Matt LaFleur talking to the media, and they're preparing. It's very generic. They're getting ready, and if they need snowmobiles to get out, then maybe they'll do that. We'll wait and see. But Matt LaFleur at the podium just a short period of time ago. We know it's holiday season. You know what that means? A few beverages here and there, and that is going to be maybe, just maybe, the Forgotten Fire wine people. Our friends at Forgotten Fire, they want to remind you it's the holiday season, and nothing says, well, you know what? All you got to do is, if you're going to mom's house, grandma's house, over the river, through the woods, all that kind of good stuff, just show up with a bottle of wine. It fits everybody. It suits everybody. And they remind you can get it at your local grocery stores, liquor stores, wine stores. That is ForgottenFireWinery.com. ForgottenFireWinery.com in Peshtigo. And many of you have taken my advice, and I love it when I get the emails that say, I didn't know it was this good. And it is. And they have some ciders, hard ciders too, as well. But go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com and see for yourself what I've been talking about, because there's just good people, great place. Peshtigo, Wisconsin. Stop in and tell them we said hi. More of the Bill Michaels Show. I want to talk a little Badger football next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. I'm in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you on board today, and glad you're with us. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there, J&L Tire Service. Lyle and the staff, they want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, remind you to give this time of year, and they're big into philanthropy. They do a lot for the community. They try to do a lot for people that are in need, and they say, you know, just pick one person, one task, do that, and you'll feel great, and you're helping somebody out that probably is less fortunate. So a little reminder, our friends at J&L Tire right there in Johnson Creek, just north of 94 at the exit there, and you can see the Goodyear sign from the road, from the highway. So stop in, whether you're an over-the-road truck driver or you're just needing the oil changed on the soccer van, whatever it happens to be, stop in, and they do some great work out there. Good people. That's our friends at J&L Tire Service. So I wanted to get into this because yesterday, big day. A lot of people, you know, kind of getting a hold of me because I've got friends that live still in the Queen City of Cincinnati, and they like Luke Fickell. They wish him nothing but the best, and they wanted to know how his class was yesterday. So, Ben, I'm going to bring you in because we all know that, you know, quarterback, Graham Mertz, he's transferred out. He's off to Florida now, and he's going to go there. He's committed. So give me your thoughts on what they did. And now the rankings, they're not high when it comes to, you know, the recruits that are coming in. I think they were 12th in the Big Ten, if I'm not mistaken, the overall ranks. But give me your thoughts on what they did and what they've done so far between not only the you know, recruiting class, but then the transfer portal alongside.
So all the thoughts are positive ones, and many of them were created the weeks before because we were getting the news of commitments as Fickell came to Wisconsin. Yesterday, there was very good news. They got Amari Snowden, who's a cornerback, was committed to Cincinnati, decommitted after Fickell left. He's 6'3" and a 4-star.
Right.
And he could be a real player in a couple years.
Somebody
And they also
already compared him to Sauce Gardner, by the way. They said he's bigger than Sauce with the same speed.
I would draw that comparison
Yeah.
with the asterisk that so much can happen between now and then.
Mhm.
But he looks like he'll be a real player. And then Trech Kikayuna was a wide receiver that was committed to Wisconsin. They flipped him last minute from Arizona to bring him back. So yesterday was a positive day. Overall, I would call it positive. Nothing earth-shattering, where when coaches get new jobs, you see it this year with Fickell, you saw it with Brian Kelly, with Lincoln Riley. You really judge them on the next class they bring in because he only had like 3 weeks to put together whatever class he possibly could and try to piece together what already was a struggling recruiting department that he took over. So they still have a couple 4-stars in the class. They flipped 3 commits that he had at Cincinnati, all of them secondary players. That's the big position group I think will benefit from this group. Not a lot of beef along the lines, which is the one concern, and not much portal movement yet. Now, this is all still ongoing. It's not as if yesterday it all stops. But Nick Evers, the quarterback they bring in from Oklahoma, promising, hasn't played yet. We'll see. I would like to see them bring in some solidification along the lines, maybe a tight end. But I think it's overall a positive start. It's really just like what positive momentum can you create during your first signing day after 2 weeks on the job? And I think Fickell's done that. Like there's real energy and real juice around what he can be and what the program can be under him.
The signing day, I mean, Oregon, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Oregon seemed like they really scored.
They went crazy.
Yeah, they got the 5-star quarterback, Dante Moore, who flipped to UCLA. They were on the wrong side of that, but the staff quickly flipped Austin, Novosad from Baylor. And it wasn't the only big commitment that they had, as Dan Lanning and his staff also flipped a 5-star safety, Peyton Bowen from Notre Dame. They got a couple of guys. They got a guy from Ohio State as well. Speaking of Ohio State, they found themselves, I think it was ranked 9th or 10th, kind of on the outside looking in when it came to the top 10. Michigan did extremely well coming out of the Big Ten. But Ohio State, Iowa, Notre Dame, they rank it. Cincinnati still had a pretty good class. Losing Luke Fickell proved to be somewhat of a loss for the Bearcats on the recruiting trail. The program, they lost 12 commits since November, some of which are going up now. They still did get some commits that were supposed to go to Louisville. They're coming to Cincinnati instead, but nevertheless, Cincinnati did okay. But when Luke Fickell walked out the door, they lost a lot. A lot of people wanted to play for Luke Fickell. So interesting day yesterday when you talk about coaches changing and who ended up with some of the flips yesterday. Like I said, Oregon wanted their quarterback. Dante Moore didn't get him, but everything else seemed to fall in their lap. So big day for Oregon yesterday. Oregon, and obviously Alabama, they always do well. Nick Saban's always going to do extremely well. But overall in the Big Ten, there were some schools that didn't do as well. And Wisconsin, although they rank it at number 12, it's like you said, a lot of people really positive about where the Badgers ended up by the end of the day. So interesting stuff.
And I know that in the next couple of weeks, they will get more guys where not everybody is signed to schools yet. That was just early signing day. And there will be a lot of portal activity.
Well, that's just it too. And I know that, Luke Fickell has stated he doesn't want to build his team through the portal, but right now for sustainability and just to get the wins and kind of get things up and running, you pretty much have to, and you have to upgrade anyway, because the team just didn't get the job done this past year. There's immediate.
The big positive, the big positive is that they haven't lost many players.
Right.
Graham Mertz is the only that they've lost. When Lincoln over USC and Brian Kelly at LSU, he had a lot more positions to replace, where those rosters were a lot more shallow than this Wisconsin roster is. And this Wisconsin roster does have a lot of young talent. It just, this past year, it didn't all work for whatever reason. So he has a lot to work with there. I think if he could figure out the line And he's also still constructing his coaching staff, which makes it all harder. But if he can construct the line and the quarterback position works out, the team could be solid next year.
I was excited. I know that there was more than a few people because I just watch Twitter. I don't follow the recruiting trail when it comes to the college football the way you do. And I was watching a lot of people that do, and they were optimistic and relatively impressed with what Luke Fickell has done, has said here in the state of Wisconsin, not only for the people that are here in our own backyard, but for the people that are coming in. So he had a lot of good things to say. They picked up the running back out of Rufus King yesterday. They were excited about that. He's not your prototypical, running back as they're kind of accustomed to in Wisconsin, but he talked about how, hey, he puts the weight on and hits the room the way they want him to. Then in a year or two, could be the real deal. And he obviously had a successful season coming out of Rufus King. So kept some of the guys home and looked like a decent recruiting class coming out of Wisconsin, but a lot of excitement for what Luke Fickell's doing. Anything else?
Did you see his back and forth with PJ Fleck yesterday?
No, I did not.
So
I
this
didn't
is
see
what
that. I
I
got
live
home
for.
from the huddle last night and kind of crashed out.
It happened, I think, when we were on air.
Was it?
Fleck said it first. So they got this defensive lineman went to Minnesota. The Badgers had offered him and tried to flip him. And Fleck said that Fickell and company were trying to negatively recruit against Minnesota, talk crap and throw whatever bad things out there they could.
Right.
And Fickell had to address it. But it started this little tit for tat, hopefully something that ends in a no holds barred match somewhere out on a field between the two, which is good.
That's awesome.
I want all the rivalries to be very heated and mean.
Absolutely. I love it. You know what? If you're going to come in and you're going to try to be the biggest, baddest on the block, flex your muscles. I'm good with that. Now obviously you want to back it up, but I'm good with that. I love it. I think it's awesome. And knowing the way you feel about Minnesota, I love it anyway. But yeah, no, I agree. I love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
imagine
love it.
trying to find something negative to say about PJ Fleck. It's so challenging. Not much there.
Yeah. Gotcha. I'm
also, Juwan Howard was yelling at his team on the sideline and losing his composure last night. So
really again?
Chef's kiss.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And they're losing, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Again, boy, you're just giddy all over the place then, aren't you? Fantastic stuff.
Tom Izzo was wearing an elf sweater and got technical fouls for yelling at refs. Things are happening, Bill.
Oh, I love it. Love it. 877-867-1670. We're at a break, going to come back, and we'll just kind of pick up where we left off. Also talk some more Packers getting ready for Miami and anything else that happens to be on your mind and anything else that comes our way. Stay tuned. Oh, by the way, after the top of the hour, we're going to get into our NFL picks coming up this weekend as well. So stay tuned for that. Bill Michael Show continues coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michael Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers have a late afternoon practice as they head this weekend to Miami to face the Dolphins. The team got some good news that running back A.J. Dillon did not suffer a concussion on Monday night against the Rams, so he's cleared to play this weekend. Packers rookie receiver Christian Watson talked about what it was like being covered by the Rams' trash-talking defensive back Jalen Ramsey.
I think it was a good battle. Any opportunity for me to go up against a corner of his caliber and obviously just work on my technique, against his, that's exactly what I'm playing at this level for, to compete and, to challenge guys. And obviously, he's a guy. So, it was a great battle.
Keyshawn Nixon had another good week as the kick returner and apparently has been lobbying to get some snaps in as the slot receiver on offense. Head coach Matt LaFleur.
No, I know. He's been talking to you, though, because he's been talking to me every day about that. So he saw that screen pass that New England ran a couple of weeks ago where they threw it to their punt returner and he took it to the house. And so ever since then, I can go in there.
And Jair Alexander was asked after beating the Rams and facing the Dolphins next, what's his goal for this week?
One game at a time, one game at a time. 3 left, but one game at a time. That's the goal.
That's Packers defensive back Jair Alexander. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Good stuff. We're doing the prime rib, just changing it up a little bit, doing prime rib. I like ham to a certain extent, but doing the prime rib, heading down to Paul Roberts Specialty Meats, Sunset Drive in Waukesha. Go to robertspecialtymeatswaukesha.com. Paul wanted me to let you know that they have plenty of hams. They have prime rib. They have tenderloin, all that kind of good stuff right now down there, but it's not going to last. So if you are looking for it, get down there. I ordered about 5 pounds, 6 pounds of prime rib, but get down there. They are, it's going to run out over the next 24, 48 hours. So head out to Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha or order it online. robertspecialtymeatswaukesha.com. robertspecialtymeatswaukesha.com. He is your hometown butcher, but I'm heading down there. I'm going to brave the elements probably a little bit later and stop down and pick up the prime rib. Either that or I'll pick it up tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. robertspecialtymeatswaukesha.com. You betcha. Good stuff. I might even get a little crazy for Sunday while the games are on. I might even do a little bit of the Al Capone sausages, fry them up, throw some marinara on top, and then I get the best of both worlds all day on Sunday. So not a bad way to go. The NFL, in case you missed it, announced today that they are teaming up with YouTube, Google and YouTube, the subscription service for the NFL Sunday Ticket now. That's right. The NFL Sunday Ticket consists of all out-of-market Sunday regular season games broadcast on CBS, Fox, and it's based on the viewer location and such, and it allows all the viewers to watch all of those games. But they have teamed up with YouTube. YouTube is now going to get it. YouTube will pay an average of about $2 billion a year to get the rights to the NFL Sunday Ticket. $2 billion a year. Damn. $2 billion with a B. That's some jack right there. I don't care who you are. Wow. Man, oh man. The TV deals just keep going up and up and up and up and up. I wonder what that's going to translate to package-wise for anybody who wants the Sunday ticket and then to watch it on YouTube. The good portion of it is you can watch it on your phone. You can get YouTube on your phone and you can check it out there, but that's it. Man. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, by all means. Got to say hi to a few people that are listening to us all over on the web. Watcher, by the way, says 72 degrees today in parts of Wyoming, or negative 72. Oh my God. Said crazy cold. I thought you said 72 degrees. Negative 72. I'm 100 degrees off. Holy crap. Then listening, Dwayne's listening from Rockford, diehard Packers fan down in Rockford, Illinois. Cassidy listening to us down in Miami, Florida. Warm today, 82 degrees, but going to be colder on Sunday. Cassidy, perfect. Tidbit 69 said, Merry Christmas, Bill, Ben. Greatly appreciate the show. Sidebar, pay the extra $75 and try the Whistle Pig 12. He said to be safe and enjoy the holidays. That's from Jeff in the Northwoods on the Menominee River. You know what? Maybe I will pick that up. If I decide to go that direction, I will. I will do that, no doubt. Jay Qual says, y'all won't be honest, but I blame Aaron Rodgers for Amari Rodgers not developing. 100% on Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't disagree. I'm not going to say 100%, but I wouldn't disagree. Rick also says, by the way, it's -8 in Marshfield right now. So, man, oh, man. Thanks to everybody listening on the Bud Light live stream. Love that stuff. Coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to make our picks against the spread. We'll get into that. By the way, before I get into that, Ben, what is the record right now between you and I?
You're a tough guy to catch. I am 4 games back. I'm 20-23-2. You are 24-19-2. We both went 2-1 last week.
24-9, so I'm 5 games above 500, which would mean if you're following me throughout the season, you're actually making a little bit of gauge. It's not a bad way to go.
And if you're betting against me, you are also making cash. That's how it works.
And we don't usually pick the same games. So that's the cool thing about it is we're not even picking the same games. Most 90% of the time we don't pick the same games. So that's kind of cool. So there you have it. So we got that coming up after the top of the hour, a little betting for you against the spread, which are a lot of good games this weekend too, which we'll talk about. We went over our picks last night, but against the spread today, we'll get into that discussion because there's some good ones. And how much will weather play into all of this, especially if you're looking at the over and the under. You heard Paul Charchian a little while ago when he talked about over and under. It only affects it, cold weather, frigid temperatures, only affects it by about a couple of points. So if you're going to bet the, if you've got a point spread at 41.5 or 48, like in Minnesota, no weather's going to affect it. But if you're talking about like the Bears and Buffalo Bills, where it's 40.5 rather than 44.5, you might have to consider that going into that contest. It's going to be frigid. It's going to be nasty. And that's Saturday. That's a Saturday game. So if they still, and I don't think there's going to be hardly any snow down there. I think they're getting some flurries, but nowhere near like, from the mid portion of the state of Wisconsin going northward. One other side note, and I did get this, and who is this from? I want to make sure I get this right. This is from, says, to us on a freighter right now in Lake Superior. They're expecting tomorrow 30-foot waves. They're racing against time, trying to get into the ports. 30-foot waves tomorrow, snow, high winds. Love the program. From a freighter on Lake Superior. I love it. Stay safe. God knows, every time I hear about 30-foot waves and bad weather on the Great Lakes, the first thing that comes to mind is the Edmund Fitzgerald. So hang in there. Stay safe. Get to port. Lock down. Stay warm. All that kind of good stuff. All right, we got another hour yet to go. Hang in there. A whole lot more of the Bill Michael Show coming up right after this.
is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers get to head to Miami on Saturday. It's where they're going to take on the Dolphins on Christmas Day in a huge matchup for both teams. Dolphins have lost 3 straight, desperately need a win. Packers have won 2 in a row to move to 6-8, but need to win out and get some help to have a shot at the playoffs. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers said things could have continued to go bad for them after losing 5 straight earlier in the year, but they're able to stem the tide to put themselves in position they are.
What is the most important thing, and what is that we're still playing a meaningful football game on Christmas and got a chance to have a lot of things in front of us. Now, obviously, we'll be watching Saturday, and there's some things need to go our way, but we got to go down and get a win. And then I said it a few weeks ago, we just get one, then we get another one. Things look a little bit different going into this game, and get this one, things look a little bit different going into the next one.
The only 2 players not to practice yesterday, Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari. Jenkins likely to play Sunday, while Bakhtiari still recovering from an appendectomy. His status remains fluid, could practice tomorrow, according to Coach Matt LaFleur. Turning to the Badgers, they signed 14 players as part of Luke Fickell's first recruiting class yesterday, included 3 4-star players, highlighted by cornerback Amari Snowden out of Michigan. Meanwhile, the current team getting ready to face Oklahoma State in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl next Tuesday.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucs were 114-106 losers in Cleveland last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 45 points and 14 rebounds in the loss. They'll be taking on Brooklyn tomorrow. And the Wisconsin basketball team's game against Grambling State set for tomorrow has been canceled due to the weather. Won't be rescheduled. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. Final hour of the program. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up? Do it. If you're looking for a terrific Christmas experience, get a hold of our friends at the ICHC, the Irish Cultural Heritage Center, ICHC.net, ICHC.net. They do a lot of great things in the community, but for 2023, if you're looking for a wedding venue, if you're looking for a meeting complex, if you're looking for anything down there, get a hold of our buddy Corey Webster. Go to ICHC.net. That's ICHC.net. We just had a really good weekend with Reverie Road and Christopher Fairland, and that just was amazing Christmas. I don't know what was, but just a beautiful, beautiful experience they had on Sunday. So if you didn't get a chance to go to it, that's okay. We're gonna have more events coming up, so if you're looking for a place to hold a small gathering, New Year's, or a place to go for a wedding, like I said, wedding rehearsal, things like that. It's terrific, terrific. Check it out. That's ICHC.net. That's ICHC.net. And Corey, he just all he wants to do is just, make the place survive. Because they've been around a long, long time. It's a nonprofit, so they just love helping people out right there in Wisconsin everywhere. By the way, Ben, we were talking about a freighter, and you said, "What the hell is a freighter?" A freighter ship is basically one of those big cargo ships. That's what it is. They can take any from the giant, railroad cars, all the way just to ore and salt and whatever else is floating.
I know it as a cargo ship.
Okay.
And I misspelled freighter.
Why would you that? Wasn't gonna point
I
that
clearly
out.
didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna point that out. Yeah, it was freighter ships are just big cargo ships of some type. Some of them have, like
that finds out where these ships are on the Great Lakes, and you can follow these ships and such and where they go into port and everything. So there's an app for that. But anyway, I digress.
Sounds riveting.
You know, I guess if you got your favorite ship or something like that, yeah, you could probably do something like that. You could probably find that out. But they do have an app.
Do you have a favorite lake, Superior, Michigan?
No. You know, well, if you're going to go fishing, you go to Lake Erie. You can go out into Lake Michigan. You can go, fish pretty deep down and, and catch brown trout and salmon and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to do like walleye fishing, you go to Lake Erie. That's where I've been on numerous
Not
outings.
these days.
Not now, no. But hell no. Not in because that lake's not that deep. Lake Erie is not that deep. It's not like Lake Michigan and Superior and such.
Well, no, because people disgraced the art of walleye fishing.
The walleye tournament up there, right? Where they started stuffing them with weights. No, but if you're going to go fishing for like walleye, you go to Lake Erie. If you're going to fish for the browns and you're going to go fish for salmon and such, you're probably going to come to Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, so into that area. But yeah, it's and Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, so they stay cold. Lake Erie will actually get warm, which is the reason some of the more freshwater lake fish will go into that area because the water does warm up and gets measurably more warm. But it also is a choppier lake and it gets rough fast. Like and I've been on Lake Michigan where I've had a beautiful day. I've taken the boat. I've gone up like the Concordia University or something. And where for those that don't know, there's some areas of Lake Michigan that are just stunning. If you come out of the McKinley, which is the port right down there by Milwaukee, if you come out of McKinley and you go north and you go up towards Concordia or a little bit further north, you can see 20, 30 feet down. It's beautiful. It's like being in the Caribbean. It's just cold. You can't jump in the water because it's cold. But it's beautiful water. But we took the boat up there, not this past year, but the year before. And it was a great day. You had the cooler, had some food, and Kristen and I just cruised. We just, kind of set it about 5, maybe 10 miles an hour and just edged the shoreline all the way up. And it got a little breezy. And then we turned around and we looked south and the breeze was coming out of the south and facing us coming back was nothing but whitecaps, 3, 6 feet swells, and anything over 3.5, 4 feet, maybe 5. It's not enjoyable on a 22-foot boat. And it took us maybe an hour to get north, but it took us almost 2.5, 3 hours to get back. And she's over there kind of freaking out. I'm like, nah, I got this. Don't worry about it. We're good. But the whole time I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, this is not good. So anyway, I completely digress. All right, time to get into our picks. Let's get into some NFL picks, shall we?
All right. You lead it off. You're the man.
Okay, let me do this. The first game I want to get into is the first game that we look at on Saturday, and that's the Bears at home. Buffalo coming into town. This is a 40.5-point over and under. It's going to be frigid temperatures. They say a high of 11 during the day, but it's going to feel like negative 15 for a majority of the day. Both teams very accustomed to it, but the Bears just aren't a good football team. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I'm going to take the Bills to win, but I think the Bears are going to cover. It's going to be more of a running quarterback kind of day. And Justin Fields, I think that is the day in which he begins to run. They got their other running back. Montgomery is looking also. He's been running the ball pretty well as of late. I think they've got a decent 1-2 punch in the run game. The Bears aren't going to win it, but I think the Bears cover. It's an 8-point spread. I'll take the Bears and the 8 points to cover.
Good pick. As I wave my pencil like Lee Corso. I
think you're going to hold it up and go, not so fast.
Oh, don't talk crap on my guy, the legend.
I love
old,
Lee Corso.
We know.
I love Lee Corso, but he probably should have retired about 3 years ago.
I always think back to the day that there was a kid on the podium and they were picking Harvard, Yale, and the kid picked Harvard, and Corso goes, "Shut up, midget."
Oh my God.
It's the greatest moment in television history.
I forgot about that. Well, who was it that went on the F-bomb tirade? It was Corso, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Corso. He was going to fire the Oklahoma cannon, and he
Right.
goes, F it.
Yeah.
and the look on Herb Street's
Herb
face
Street
was
about
so good.
passed out. Yeah, it was awesome.
But that said, speaking of, I can't tie it in. I'm taking the Jaguars plus 2.5.
Oh,
the line is climbing, Bill. It was 1.5 last night when we spoke.
It was 1.5 this
now,
morning.
Yeah, it is now 2.5. Probably will get to 3-ish, 3.5 by game time. So if you're gonna bet it, wait, because we're doing this now. I'm taking the Jaguars plus 2.5 to win outright.
Wow.
Definitely cover in the process. Doug Peterson's got it going. He got cheesesteaks from the Eagles staff this week. You got to think there's motivation there. Zach Wilson is starting. I know the Jets defense is good, but I don't know. I just feel it with the Jaguars.
All right. I got you. I like it. You've got to the Texans on the road. They are in Tennessee. Tennessee favored by just 3 in this contest. I'll pull a course of not so fast. I got Tennessee running on all over a bad run-stuffing Texans defense. I'm going to take Tennessee, given the points at home. I think they win by 7 or more. The Titans, who are looking to try to kind of solidify themselves into the postseason, Derrick Henry, 1,303 yards in the season, 12 touchdowns so far. I think he adds to that. Tannehill's got to be a little bit better, but he's closing in on 2,600 yards through the air. I think Tannehill and the Titans, along with Derrick Henry on the ground, they get a big thing going, and the Titans win by 7 or more.
Tannehill's out.
Tannehill is out for this game?
It's looking like he's going to miss the season.
Yeah.
If you want to change it.
Okay. No, I'm not going to, because I think they're going to run the ball because it's going to be a cold weather game. It's only going to be 17 degrees there.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I found the clip.
Did you?
Bulldogs.
Yale
Bulldogs.
Oh, wow.
Not so fast, midget. Not so fast.
I love it. I love it.
It's so
That's
good.
awesome.
What do I have next? Oh, 49ers Commanders. Great video, by the way, of a Commander special teamer making the Pro Bowl. Guy that had
Ron
been on
Rivera
practice
telling him?
squads.
Yeah.
For years, bursts into tears. Urge everyone to find that video.
Mhm.
Commanders are a great story on the field under Rivera, given all the disaster happening upstairs. But I think the Niners win this game going away. They have been so impressive defensively. Purdy does enough. I just like to beat them. You need an offense to somehow challenge their defense. And I don't think Taylor Heineke has that. So I'll take the Niners. The total's only 37.5. So this could be a terrible pick, but I'll take the Niners -7.
Craptastic game on Sunday afternoon. Craptastic. I mean, like, it's a yawner. Who cares? It sucks. But for the bettors, you got to love it. The Rams at home are getting 2.5. The Rams are 4-10. The Broncos are 4-10. Here's the one side note. The Broncos are 1-6 on the road this year. Russell Wilson has still not thrown the bathroom clause yet. He's still sitting on 11 touchdowns. Remember, he has 12 bathrooms in his home. He's got 11. There's a bet even reach 12 touchdowns by the end of the season to equal the amount of bathrooms that are in his home. He is still under the toilet. That's pretty much just a good statement right there. I'm going to take Baker Mayfield getting a little juice at home. He knocks off the Denver Broncos at SoFi, and I'm going to take the Rams getting the points.
That is a disgusting pick. To round it out, I will take the Pittsburgh Steelers -2.5 at home on Saturday Night Football on NFL Network. With the news this week,
Who are you taking on
Franco?
Saturday? Who you got? Steelers?
The
at home?
Steelers.
Steelers.
Yeah.
At home?
-2.5. Franco Harris passes away. They were going to honor him. Really sad news. You got to think there's going to be energy there with the team, with the organization. That's really my only thought process for this game. So I'll take the Steelers.
The only thing about that is there's so much sadness in the organization and via the fan base, but the majority, if not all of those guys, either weren't alive or don't remember or don't really know, unless you're a historian, Franco Harris. The players don't care. All they know is that the energy has just been zapped out of the stadium. And when stuff like that happens, it's tough. It's tough to get up. I've seen it happen. I want to say, just because of the weather, it's going to be really cold on Saturday night down there. Really cold. and they're talking about the possibility of snow showers and such in Pittsburgh on Saturday night as well. I know Pittsburgh's given 2.5. I would almost have to take the Raiders outright to win it. Only for now. The one thing I will say is it's cold, and the Raiders are for all intents and purposes, a warm weather team because they play indoors and they play in a better climate in Vegas. But that energy gets zapped out of a team in which they didn't know this guy, so they're not like playing for Franco Harris or anything. They didn't know him, so. It would be tough. That's one. I stayed away from that game because of that. I thought about it, but I stayed away from that game because of that.
I think you're right, but I will say, in college football, I don't have numbers to back this up, but there's something to be said about when a team's mascot dies, like the Georgia Bulldog, like the animal mascot.
Right.
When that mascot passes away, they always win the next week.
Well, that's college, and that's their mascot.
I know. I'm finding something where there's nothing.
Yes, you are.
Admittedly.
Okay. Oh, there you have it. That is our picks with or without the spread. So there you have it. Good stuff. And we'll let you know come Monday wherever.
Not so fast, midget.
That is awesome. That is awesome. 877-867-1670. Terrific company right here in our own backyard. It is called Pindel, Pindel. If you're looking to work with a quality manufacturing company or machining company, if whether it's as an employee or you're a company within the sound of my voice, and you're sitting there going, man, coming up in 2023, we got to do this, and this, and we need machine parts. Great place to go to. That is Pindel. Go to Pindel, Pindel.com. That is Pindel.com and see everything. A global machining and manufacturing company right here in the state of Wisconsin, New Berlin, Wisconsin, to be exact. We've got more right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This is Cash Avalanche at Potawatomi. Saturdays, you could get buried in up to 10 grand cash. Plus, all the unclaimed prizes snowball into a huge cash jackpot at the end of the month. Just play with your club card for a chance to win. Sure, presents are nice, but nothing beats cold, hard cash. Only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More info at paysbig.com/cold cash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
But they have those gift boxes for the barbecue sauce, the hot sauce, the rubs. But you do it right now. Go to Burn Pit BBQ right now. Pick out what you want. Call them. Say, hey guys, Ben, got to get this, and they'll get it out to you right away. And hopefully they can get it there in time, even with the weird weather. But if you're in the state of Wisconsin and you've got a barbecue lover in your life, and this is not a bad deal for the last minute gift idea, go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. And they'll do everything they can to get it to you on time. Trust me, they will. Good guys. Good guys. Ben, does Tua belong in the Pro Bowl?
Oh, yes. I love this conversation. I am obsessed with debating about the game that everybody actively hates. I would say he does, for the record.
Okay, my question is, first of all, the Pro Bowl has changed, so who cares? The only thing that means anything to the players is that if they get voted to a Pro Bowl, there's usually a monetary aspect to this. So it's an honor,
right?
But Tua, the only player in the NFL to receive more than 300,000 votes for the Pro Bowl, did not crack the roster of the AFC. Because remember, it's the fan votes, players votes, coaches votes. So he won the fan vote. But the players and coaches picked Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. So Tua did not make it because the coaches and the players did not vote for him. The good news is he's an alternate, which means if, Allen, Burrow, or Mahomes end up at the Super Bowl, Tua is going to get the first option to take their place. So there's a chance that he could end up at the Pro Bowl anyway. But his completion percentage is 64.8. 3,238 yards, 24 touchdowns, only 5 picks. There's going to be 88 players in Vegas for this year's Pro Bowl. The AFC and the NFC rosters decided with the input from fans, the players, coaches, all that kind of stuff. And he did not make it. He did not make it. Only 2 teams, by the way, got shut out. 30 teams that had at least one Pro Bowl player, which means there were 2 teams that had 0. The Bears, and the Jaguars. Justin Fields would have probably been the best vote there, but he lost out to Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts, and Geno Smith, who made the roster as the 3 NFC starting quarterbacks. Let me say that again. Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts, and Geno Smith on the NFC side. So you got to think about that for a minute. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. When you talk about the NFC, hold on now. Who would be better in the NFC? Jalen Hurts certainly belongs there. I thought he would have been first. But Kirk Cousins gets the nod. Then Jalen Hurts. By the way, no Dak Prescott, no Tom Brady, no Aaron Rodgers, no Kyler Murray, no Matthew Stafford. All those guys, nothing, nada. You know who else? And now Geno Smith certainly deserving. We've talked about Geno Smith, but Geno Smith as of late, they have not performed very well. They're sitting at 7-7. Geno Smith getting it because of the sentimentality of the comeback player I mean, he comes out of nowhere. They get rid of Russell Wilson out in Seattle. Say, talk to you later. The next thing you know, bam. Geno Smith takes over, and they're off and running. But they've lost 2 straight now. They're sitting at 500. No Jared Goff. I thought Jared Goff at 7-7 might get in. They've won 3 straight. As a matter of fact, and the Lions have played extremely well down the stretch. They've won 6 of their last 7. Now, don't get me wrong, they had a 5-game losing streak, but they've won 6 of their last 7. They're one of the hotter teams in football. Jared Goff, nada at all. But there you go. That's your Pro Bowl quarterbacks. The Eagles, by the way, have the most Pro Bowlers. Not surprising to anybody. And you look at a guy like Tua did not get in, but Tyreek Hill did. That's his 7th consecutive.
How about Jair Alexander making it?
Yeah.
I was a bit surprised by that.
A little bit. But when you talk about the coaches and the players, they're the ones voting as well. The Jets' Sauce Gardner gets in too. And Tariq Woolen going to join Ronnie Lott of the 49ers and Everson Walls of the Cowboys, who both played in Pro Bowl games, Pro Bowls following 1981. But the 2 rookie corners, Sauce Gardner, Tariq Woolen, both those guys getting in. Kudos to them. There you go. And we all know that the Pro Bowl, as we stated earlier, big change this year. Instead of the standard NFL game, they rebranded the Pro Bowl game. It's going to be a week-long celebration that will include a bunch of different events. And it leads up to the game. The players are going to participate in the skills competition. And the week in Vegas is going to conclude on February 5th with a flag football game between the AFC and the NFC that's going to be coached by Peyton and Eli Manning. So there you go. That'd be it. But yeah, the Tua getting the most votes, but did not get into the Pro Bowl. And he's had a pretty good season. It's not like he's had a bad season. But I don't think you can go wrong with Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. Those guys are almost at this point in time. You could even throw Trevor Lawrence into the mix the way they played here down the stretch, although he's not Pro Bowl worthy yet, but certainly the way they've been playing. But good God, I mean, those guys are really, for the most part, they're going to be the next faces of probably the NFL. Once Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers fade away, Dak Prescott's probably your most veteran guy, but that could still be a face, but he just doesn't play like, well, there's Matthew Stafford, of course, depending on if he stays, but there it is. 877-867-1670. But a lot of your Philadelphia Eagles, man, you got to be geeked, right?
Yeah, there's excitement there for sure. Kind of
just checking.
Scared about injury situations, but
just checking. We got no measurable with a ruler, not a yardstick. Chris sent me a picture over on Facebook, actually.
Of his ruler?
It's a ruler. 2 1/4 inches in Beaver Dam right now. 2 1/4 inches in Beaver Dam. He said, let Ben know I had to go find the ruler. It was in our junk drawer. So, I can see him he's running through the house. I'm listening to Bill's show. Where's the ruler? Damn it, where's the ruler? Check the junk drawer. Oh, my God, what crap is this? And then he finally finds the ruler in Beaver Dam. They got 2 1/4 inches. So,
that's nothing. They made this out to be the biggest storm in the world. It's like it's December.
Yep.
It's cold.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's done yet.
Ratings on the weather shows
are not
quite
done
good
yet, but it's going to happen. Just be careful. Weather's going to kick you right in the crotch before you even know it. There you go. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. Come back. Couple of segments yet to go. This is from Jason, who says, tonight's snowstorm calls for a bottle of Tito's. I love it. Let's do this. We'll break. We'll come back. We got a lot more. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hotel Casino reminds you of the casino and bingo and all that kind of good stuff back in go. Hang up your bad stop, Win yourself some extra days for Christmas. Not a bad thought. Or just a place to kind of hang out, keep warm. Stay excited. They have the hotel right now. Booking reservations. Go to paysbig.com. That's paysbig.com. Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Great place there. Free act, paid act. They have the Bodines are coming. I know that. They're down there. They have drink experiences down there. Really cool. If you haven't seen them, work. But they have so much going on down there. Potawatomi Hotel Casino. The theater, all the restaurants, and bingo is back. So stop into Potawatomi and make sure you tell them you said hi. And even just walk up to them, Bill's alive. See what they say. They look a little stupid at you, but you're not supposed to.
877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Watcher said, not the snow that's dangerous. It's obviously the cold and the wind chills and the blindness that is coming that should worry us. Yeah, I know. I get all that. And as I said yesterday, if it was a heavy, heavy snow and heavy winds and such, that'd be one thing. But 3-4 inches of snow and a little bit of wind and such, it's, I've been there, done that. I think I drove home actually from a Monday night Packers game years ago in worse conditions to where you couldn't even see. And it was really cold. So I'm sure we'll be good. We'll all get through it. We'll all get through it together. And then we'll all be right back here, come Monday, and we'll tell our experiences. So anyway, Aaron Rodgers was at the podium. And the first thing he talked about is, talking about Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins and such, and just kind of his thoughts on that team and on that head coach.
I don't know Mike at all, but I like his demeanor. And obviously he's from a tree that has had a lot of success in the league, and he's got Tua playing well. Obviously got a lot of speed on offense, and they've drafted well on defense, and they got a lot of impact players as well. They've, acquired Chubb, obviously through a trade, and then, a lot of guys they drafted.
The one thing that has been going on, and we talked about this the other day in Green Bay, obviously Keyshawn Nixon has been a real breath of fresh air in the return game. But Keyshawn Nixon has basically been saying, okay, I told you I could do this. Okay, I told you. Told you I'd be good at it. And I am. There you go. I've proven myself, right? Okay, put me in the slot. No, not slot, not playing the slot, defensively. He wants to be a slot receiver. Here's what Rodgers had to say.
I actually haven't heard that. I don't know if he's shying away from me because he knows what answer he's going to get, but we love Keyshawn. And there was another guy that played defense, played slot for us at a really high level for a long time that every now and then campaigned for some offensive plays. He actually did play some offense for his previous team and could really do anything. We're going to let Keyshawn, figure things out a little bit more on defense and teams, and then we'll see. You never know.
Never know. Maybe in a pinch, maybe if you have some injuries or something like that, maybe that's when he gets his opportunity. So what does Aaron Rodgers like about Keyshawn Nixon and the demeanor he has?
Well, he's tough, and I don't use that characteristic lightly. There's just not the same amount of mentally, physically tough guys, I think, in the league, and he's one of them. He's a guy I wish I could have played a decade with because you could win with guys like that. Smart guys who are mentally and physically tough, who play with an edge, play with an attitude.
Rodgers did have a few more things to say about Keyshawn Nixon, about how much he likes him and just about his work ethic.
He's a fantastic trash talker, but he plays with a confidence. It's not a fake confidence. I think, so many times you see certain players around the league who have kind of a fake confidence where, when it's going good, like a front runner mentality. Key doesn't have that. He's a bulldog. He's tough all the time. He plays strong. You love having guys out there who compete like that.
So when it comes to Keyshawn Nixon, and we've asked this question, I asked it. I said it right after the game on Monday night, after watching him for not his first, his second, but his third time breaking 50 yards on a return, something we haven't seen in, I couldn't even tell you when. But this is a guy that we've all stated should have been out there sooner. Matt LaFleur was asked about it. So Rodgers said, look, I get it. He should have been out there sooner, but Keyshawn Nixon the way he did it, he didn't bitch, he didn't moan, he didn't scream. He just kept telling guys and telling coaches and such, I want a shot. If I get an opportunity, just give me a shot. And Rodgers said, hey, the way he went about it, and what he did, and the way he did it, went about it all the right way.
Where's this guy been all year? Well, he's been right there, right in front of us, and just waiting for his opportunity. But the great thing about him is he was never bitching about it. He was never, raising the stink. He approached every single day the same way. There's a lot to be said for that. That's the right way to do it. You kind of pay your dues, buy your time, and then when you get an opportunity, make the most of it.
Miami's on the horizon. We all know that. If they win, they keep on trucking towards the postseason. If they lose, then kind of you start looking towards the offseason. But Rodgers was asked if keeping some of these guys around, some of his buddies, Mercedes Lewis, David Bakhtiari, Randall Cobb, when he sits down at the end of the season, and if the organization says, hey, we're going to keep these guys for you, they're going to stay here, does that then begin to change or influence his decision as to whether or not he wants to come back or what he wants to do?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's going to be my own physical and mental health and how I'm feeling about committing to, another year, 2, 3 down the road, that grind. But those relationships are really important to me. And it's more than just those guys. I think there's 3 or 4 other guys on offense who have kind of unsettled futures. So I'm sure keeping those guys around would definitely give me something to look forward to.
So we just got done talking about the Miami quarterback Tua, who got the most fan votes but did not make it on to the AFC's Pro Bowl rosters. So Rodgers talks a little bit about what he knows regarding Miami and Tua, their quarterback.
I enjoy the way that he plays. He plays on time. He throws the ball accurately. Does a nice job with his eye control for a young player. He's got obviously good pocket movement. He can extend plays. They've had a couple pretty incredible fourth quarter comebacks this year where he's been super efficient. He has some great weapons, but been impressed with the way he plays. I like the way he handles himself too.
So the one thing about this, ever since they ended up getting beat by Philadelphia, is they've been able to kind of turn things around a little bit. And, again, they started scoring points prior to that, and the offense has been clicking and it's been better. But what has kept this team, this Packers team, what's kept their hope? What's kind of kept them in it? What's turned it around?
Wins. I think the win against Cowboys was really important for us. We lost 5 in a row, and many of them not very pretty. So that was kind of our first last stand, and that kind of reminded us we actually can win football games. Now, then we lost in the next 2, obviously, but winning changes everything. Winning does a lot of great things.
So the other aspect of that, he mentioned we had lost 5 in a row, and they did. And it wasn't, it's like he said, it wasn't pretty. There was a lot of bad football. There was turnovers, there was missed tackles, there was bad coverage, there was offensive line play that was, suspect, all of that. So Rodgers does, though, says, hey, at least this is the reflective side of Aaron Rodgers where he thinks deeper than a lot of people. He said, hey, when it came to the losing side, that was when we had to kind of dig a little bit deeper, go ourselves deep, looking for the answers that weren't, figure out how to get stronger.
There was opportunities this year for us in the humility of losing multiple games where we got to finally clean some things up that needed to be cleaned up. And we've obviously played a little bit better the last 2 weeks against bad teams. Now we got to play good against 3 good teams.
So that brings us to do you think you can win out? And if you win out, then you've got to wait as to whether or not the Washington Commanders lose the next 2 out of 3, or if Seattle loses coming up this weekend. And if Seattle does, that's one more obstacle out of the way. And if the Washington Commanders win, do you have to wait for the Giants to lose 3 straight? All that kind of stuff. All of that could happen, but will it? And Rodgers talks about it.
What is the most important thing, and what is that we're still playing a meaningful football game on Christmas and got a chance to have a lot of things in front of us. Now, obviously, we'll be watching Saturday, and there's some things need to go our way, but we got to go down and get a win. And then I said it a few weeks ago, we just get one, and we get another one. Things look a little bit different going into this game, and get this one. Things look a little bit different going into the next
one. The one thing, and I'll probably talk about this on Sunday night if indeed the Packers win, is a lot of people that are saying, it's like Rob Reichel said, if the Packers win this one, we believe they're going to the postseason. They still have 2 tough teams after that because you haven't won jack. And that's the one thing to remember in all of this, that even if they do get a win this coming weekend, it doesn't mean anything until you win out the rest of the season. So even though things will be looking up and there'll be a different excitement and such inside the walls of 1265, something that you can almost smell, taste, feel physically, it'll be a little bit closer. It's still until you actually win the next 2 after this, it doesn't mean anything. So hang in there. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back for the final segment of this portion of the program, brought to you by the Sunset Grill on Pewaukee Lake. And Trevor over there says the snow is a-blowing and flowing, and the ice is freezing, and it's going to be deep and down cold this weekend. So, for many of you ice fishermen, this is kind of it. This is your big deep freeze, and this is the one where you go, okay, now we can finally start going out on the ice and taking the shanty out there, because we are now thrown into the sub-freezing temperatures and sub-zero temperatures. So, but out there on Pewaukee Lake, hey, if you're out there, fishing a little bit, want to go get warm, want to go get yourself a beverage or get some food to carry out, take it to the shanty. That's the place to go. That is our friends over there at Sunset Grill on Pewaukee Lake, and they had trivia and karaoke going on. They always have something happening there, and really, really good food, and obviously beverages. There you have it. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it 2 years later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later. Ho, ho.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers have practice today installing the game plan for their trip to face the Dolphins. Wide receiver Sammy Watkins is now back with the Baltimore Ravens after he was waived by the Packers on Monday. After reviewing the game film, Packers safety Adrian Amos says the key to holding the Rams is just 156 yards total offense was Green Bay's defensive line and the linebackers.
I think our front did a great job. They had a great game. Like our front seven, they controlled it. They weren't able to run the ball, a couple plays here and there, but when the front do that job and dominate up there, then it makes a game a lot more fun for the back end.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
LA has had a rash of injuries up front, so it was a favorable matchup, I would say, for our guys, and that's what you got to do. You got to win when you're expected to win, and I thought for the most part our guys were able to do that.
Rasul Douglas intercepted a Baker Mayfield pass, and instead of just running with it, he says he decided to lateral it to Adrian Amos, who nearly fumbled it.
When he grabbed me, and I kind of twisted me, I seen Smash and Rudy, so I was like, all right, if I could just grip the ball and throw it to one of them.
Smash and Rudy?
No, that's why I messed up. That was my first mistake. You know what I'm saying? That was my first mistake right there. And then when I went to go throw it, it slid. But I was already in the process, so as I was going down, I just underhand, and then I seen it hit the ground. I was like, damn, it's about to be like the Raiders and the Patriots. You know, so in my head, I was like, damn.
That's Packers defensive back Rasul Douglas. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. Starting to come down. Starting to come down. Starting to come down a little bit heavier. There you go. For those that wanted to look out of the back of the studio window. Starting to come down. Great white death. Hey, coming up to what do we have tomorrow? We're going to look at the Miami side of things, Ben. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct. Tomorrow on the program. Who's joining us? Al Habib. Al Habib. On Beach Coast, I believe. He's going to be here, which is good stuff. We are going to obviously be talking with Mike Clemens tomorrow as we go into the holiday weekend. We'll do some Christmas gift giving ideas for the last minute shopping. I've done that
Christmas movie.
No, we're not doing Christmas.
Die Hard, Home Alone, Christmas Story, Elf.
We can talk about some gift. Yeah, I'm going to go. Actually, tonight I was supposed to effort out 2 days ago, and I didn't get a chance to, so I got to go back. I had ordered some stuff. I got to go pick it up. I'm going to try to get a few things done before I have to get out of here. Before the weather completely closes me down. We'll do that coming up. So we got Matt Mitchell tomorrow, Hal Habib tomorrow, Mike Clemens tomorrow. We've got some last-minute gift idea stuff tomorrow. We got all kinds of stuff. This one is from Amanda, who says, "With you and your entire staff." You're like the entire staff, aren't you?
Yes, I am staff.
The entire staff. A very happy holiday season. Hopefully, we're talking about a Packers win on Monday. And I just found out today that we are not here on Monday. So you get us tomorrow, and then obviously during the Greenville postgame show, we're going to have it. But beyond that, not really. It's going to take one day. Normally I would work it. I'll go straight through it, but they're telling us we're going to be off. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna fight you on that one. Ben, now you don't leave. When do you leave? You leave Saturday morning, right? You said
No, tomorrow night.
tomorrow night. Okay, I wasn't sure. Tomorrow night. And so far everything's good at the airport. You're not getting delayed or anything.
Nothing yet. We will see. I'm petrified, frankly. I'm going through it.
Okay.
I'm scared I'm going to be trapped. Not that being trapped here is bad, but given the circumstances.
Yeah.
It's like Home Alone.
Right. This weekend's a weird weekend too because I'm on cat duty. I hate to say it this way, but my second next door, Judy, her and I are still living. But Judy, she's leaving town. She's going to visit her son down in the Carolinas. He's stationed down there. He's in the Army. So she's going there, and so I'm on cat duty on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Doing cat thing. Getting ready. The cats are actually rescues from Bosnia. So they're like, other than her, they get freaked out by anything, so I never see them. I just go over, put the food out, I sit on the couch. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll see like a tail or maybe an ear where they kind of peer around the corner, but they're rescues from Bosnia and had all the bombing and everything over there. So they freak out at anything. And it's rightfully so. So it's like, I just go over and throw the food in there and scoop the poop and call it a day. That's it. So my cat duty, I got nothing. Christmas, cat duty, scooping food, a little bit of crime. Not a bad way to go. That's the weekend. How many? By the way, speaking of that, how many people you got going to your mom and dad's house? Or you going to somewhere else?
Yeah, my parents' place.
Okay. So how many people you got coming over?
We usually do a big Christmas Eve party with
Okay.
all of the family, friends, a couple of my friends, mostly my parents' friends and family.
Gotcha.
It could be a good amount of people. We usually have the immediate family, like 15-ish people.
Okay. There you go. By the way, we had talked about this a while ago. There is a thing called an app called Marine Traffic. If you want to follow the shifts down in the Great Lakes, it's called Marine Traffic, and you can pinpoint where you want to go. And John also says, you got the Whistle Pig 10-year. He said, pay a little extra. Go to the 12-year. It's outstanding. Don't pass it. When I go back out and I'm looking for the next bottle of bourbon, I'll do that. So there you have it. Good stuff today. Back at it again tomorrow. Had a great time. So between now and the next time we speak, stay safe because it is Armageddon. It's the Great White Death. It's coming down in buckets and droves, and it's crazy. And the wind is blowing now. Yeah, there you go. I might do a little video post or something later on tonight, so look for that. There. But have a safe. We're going to talk at you again tomorrow, and hopefully you and I get a chance to chat, go into the weekend feeling really good, full of the spirit. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that kind of stuff.